Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Sakura just walked through the gates and started her search for her love, Naruto Uzumaki. Sakura was also trying to figure out how to find him. She was just so worked up on finding Naruto that she'd forgotten to find a way to locate him. Though it did not stop her as she just realized her feelings for him. She did come up with a plan, and that is to follow some of the search parties. She remembers that she was not supposed to leave the village by order by Tsunade. She had to keep out of sight until she could find Naruto and confess and apologize to him for what she had done this morning. With Kakashi and Sasuke. Kakashi summoned his dogs to search for Naruto a while ago, so he should get a response soon. Both Sasuke and Kakashi had their Sharingans activated, to find Naruto's chakra signal. Kakashi grew worried about Sasuke, as he did not turn his Sharingan off to rest since they left the village about 20 minutes ago. Kakashi can see Sasuke's chakra is weak and tries to calm the boy down. Sensei, have they found Naruto's scent or Naruto yet? Sasuke asked. No Sasuke, unfortunately not. Kakashi replied sadly. Damn it, Sasuke yelled, hitting a tree hard leaving a small hole. I have to find Naruto. He's the only one who's a brother to me. Sasuke yelled in a mixture rage and worry. Sasuke, calm down, we'll find him. Kakashi said in a calm tone. Sensei, I have to find him no matter what. How am I supposed to calm down when he's out there running away? Sasuke asked in a worried tone with a hint of despair. Something tells me it's about much more than your brotherhood. Kakashi guessed, looking at Sasuke with his lazy eye in curiosity. You're right, Sensei. Sigh, before we graduated, I always called Naruto a dope, loser and dead last along with the rest of the class. I never knew how much he truly suffered. I thought he had never felt pain like I did when my clan died, but hearing of what he holds I can only say that I'm half right. True, he doesn't know the pain I've been feeling, but his is greater than mine. I had the village looking and caring after me, while Naruto was treated worse than anything I can imagine because of that thing in him. Sasuke explained with a sad voice. Sensei, I have a question. Why did the fourth seal the demon in Naruto? Why not himself instead? Sasuke asked, looking up at Kakashi. Kakashi looked at Sasuke. He sighed, then closed his eyes for a few seconds, then opened them again. The demon couldn't be sealed in anybody, Sasuke. It had to be a newborn child, that's why Naruto was chosen. Though the fourth wanted Naruto to be seen as a hero or jailer of the demon rather than being seen as one, the whole village lost lots of shinobi and loved ones. They took their anger out on Naruto for what had happened that day when he was only an hour old. Kakashi explained with a hint of sadness in his voice. An hour old. Sasuke was surprised that Naruto was only an hour old and he was already hated by the leaf. For what? Having a demon inside that tried to destroy the village which he had no control of. Sasuke changed his expression to his normal look. By that stage Sakura was passing by. She had heard the conversation Sasuke had with Kakashi. She decided to take a small listen to the conversation. She hid behind the trees a small distance from Kakashi and Sasuke to take a very quick listen. Kakashi-sensei. There was something Naruto had that he was about to give to Sakura. It was a necklace which had a diamond on it. It looked very similar to the one the first had. Is the necklace the first's? Sasuke asked. True, Sasuke. Very true. I asked Tsunade why Naruto was wearing it. She said that she had a bet with him. If he masters the Rasengan in a week, he can have that necklace. It belongs not only to the first but the loved ones that Tsunade held dear. Her died, she gave it to them because they were close to her, very close. Naruto is one of those people who are very close to her. My guess is that Sakura is one of those people. Kakashi explained. Naruto always loved Sakura to the heart until the day he died. He saved her on a lot of occasions and was always there for her. I saw her as she attempted to throw the necklace in the water back at the bridge. Sasuke explained. Sakura heard all of that and started to tear up. She couldn't believe that the necklace she tried to throw away belonged to the first. She now feels guiltier than ever. Naruto tried to give her the best gift any girl would die for and she threw it away. Sakura left the area to continue her search for Naruto. Naruto-kun, I'm so sorry. Sakura apologized in her head. Back with Kakashi and Sasuke, Sasuke sighed, "Sigh, I hope we find him." Sasuke hoped with a sad voice. "We'll find him. As your sensei, I order you to calm down and take at least a 10-minute break and hydrate yourself. There's about a large lake not far from here behind you. I think that'll calm you down. Until then, I'll do the search until your rest is finished, understood?" Kakashi explained with his calm voice. Sasuke looked down, with a sad face. "I guess you're right, sensei. I'll calm down," Sasuke admitted with a soft tone in his voice. "Good. Get some rest," Kakashi said, his eyes smiling. Thinking about it, it may have been my fault as well why Naruto had left Sasuke. Kakashi informed, with his revealing eye looking down at the ground in shame. "Your fault?" Sasuke asked. "Yes, Sasuke, my fault," Kakashi replied. "Back when I was going to inform you I was gonna train you, I encountered Naruto when he was gonna visit you. I lied to him that I was sent there to escort him out because of the ruckus he was causing, mainly to get to you since you were still unconscious. He then guessed right that I was there to train you, and so I told him it wasn't true. He asked me to train him for the finals of the Chunin exams, but I refused," Kakashi explained, with a hint of regret in his voice. "Naruto Sasuke reminds me of a certain friend. He looks like him, acts like him, be like him, and has the will of fire like him. I forgot that Naruto. I didn't have a great life. I keep forgetting that he suffered because of the villagers' hatred towards him. I forget what a fragile heart he has. It may appear that he's happy all the time, and acts as though nothing phases him, but that's a mask, and behind it is his true self, a child that is filled with sadness, one that never should have been treated the way he did. Many people suffer a great amount, but Naruto didn't deserve that suffering," Kakashi said. I always believed I had it tougher than Naruto, losing my whole clan, but compared to the suffering he had endured, mine doesn't sound as bad as his does. Losing them was hard, but having nobody with you, and the whole village abusing you is 1,000 times harder than I could ever think of," Sasuke said. Kakashi could remember the time where Naruto asked for his training, only to be pushed away, and for Kakashi to train Sasuke, while Naruto himself has suffered an even greater amount than Sasuke. In fact, after the Chunin exams and during the T-Country mission his team was sent to, he read Naruto's records, many of which indicated sabotage on his education, which was the main reason his ninja skills were poor. It indicated that he was kicked out of many classes, and was accused of doing something wrong to get detention, and forcing a whole day of class gone. Iruka was the only one who didn't sabotage Naruto's training, and the only one who supported Naruto, and helped him despite that due to the sabotage lessons Naruto didn't take them seriously. Thinking about it now, Naruto actually needed more help than anyone, and Kakashi ignored that. He couldn't help but feel guilty as he could also be a part of Naruto's suffering, which had driven him away. Sasuke was the same. He remembered all those times he told Naruto he doesn't understand what it meant to lose your own clan, maybe not, but Naruto had never had known anyone from his, and he suffered without any parents, including with the suffering of the villagers. Thinking it over, he remembered how Naruto was treated, and how bad it was. For Sasuke, he felt horrible. He thought he could understand Naruto's pain, but to the extent at which Naruto had, he couldn't imagine it. Not knowing what it felt to be like him. Sasuke then turned his Sharingan off, then walked towards the lake where he would have his rest while Kakashi would continue his search for Naruto. With Team 8, Kurenai, Shino, Hinata and Kiba with Akamaru were struggling to search and find Naruto. Even the best Genin team who were known for their tracking skills couldn't find the blonde Jinchuriki. Shino was having trouble, as his parasitic insects were everywhere due to the Kyuubi's amount of chakra. Kiba and Akamaru were having the same issue. The two had located the Kyuubi's chakra, but because of the chakra, it was messing with their noses that they could tell that the chakra was everywhere. Hinata was having the same as well. With Byakugan she saw red chakra everywhere. Naruto sure had made a good job covering his tracks to make sure no one followed him. The members of Team 8 were worried for their young Kunoichi Hyuga teammate. She did not once turn her Byakugan off since they had left the village. They knew of Hinata having a crush on Naruto and knew she would die for him, but they never thought she would go to extreme measures leaving her Byakugan on for a long time for Naruto. Kurenai could tell that Hinata was getting weaker and weaker due to the effects of the Byakugan while channeling too much chakra into her eyes. Kurenai was worried for her students, so she decided to take action and help her with her depression. Kurenai walked towards Hinata. Hinata, don't you think it's about time you rest? Kurenai asked in worry for her student. No sensei, I have to keep finding Naruto-kun. I have to find him. Hinata replied, panic in her voice. Hinata. Kurenai was cut off by Hinata. I should have been more helpful to him. Hinata said in her panic rush voice. Hinata. Kurenai was cut off once again by Hinata. I need to find Naruto-kun. I have to find him no matter what. It's very, very important that I find him. Hinata continued. Hinata. Kurenai shouted. Hinata stopped talking and stared at her sensei. Hinata, I know this isn't easy for us to go through, but you must understand that panicking and putting pressure on yourself isn't the answer that you're looking for. You have to take things slowly or otherwise you won't get through anything, alright? Kurenai asked. Hinata nodded slowly with a sad expression on her face. Good. Now go and get some rest please, you look dehydrated, there's a lake not too far from here in that direction. I think we could all use a break. Kurenai guessed, pointing towards the direction of the lake, turning her view towards Shino, Kiba and Akamaru. Hi Kurenai-sensei. Hinata nodded, then walked towards the lake. Shino looked at Kurenai and asked, do you think Hinata is taking it easy? Shino asked in his calm voice. I feel Hinata's pain Shino, she isn't taking it easy at all, she must be suffering from depression at the moment. Kurenai guessed. Kiba sat down on the ground. My feet are killing me. How is it possible that Naruto can cover his tracks? I mean, in the academy days when we played hide and seek, Naruto was the worst hider I had ever met, finding him must have been a piece of cake. Kiba stated. Arf. Akamaru barked in agreement with Kiba. I'm not surprised Kiba, since Naruto graduated from the academy, I heard of reports of red chakra from my father at the council from the land of waves where Naruto's mission was held. Let's not also forget the Chunin exams where Naruto used the red chakra to beat Neji and Gaara. So I'm not surprised if Naruto knows how to control it somehow. Shino objected. I agree with Shino. Naruto has better control of the Kyuubi than he did before. But because of the villagers' attitude towards Naruto, his feelings were building up like a dam ready to burst. When Sakura hurt Naruto's feelings, that must have been the last straw, so we must help Naruto as much as we can when he comes home, if we find him of course. Kurenai explained. I hate the villagers for what they did to him. They don't deserve Naruto at all for what he had done for that place. Kiba growled in rage. I agree Kiba, Naruto has done a lot for the village, and all the villagers still hate him for something he is not. Shino agreed, adjusting his glasses. You're both right, that's why we have to do our best to help Naruto with his situation. Alright, Kurenai asked. Right, Kiba shouted with a smile. Arf. Akamaru agreed. I will also help Naruto in his depression as one of his friends. Shino agreed. With Sasuke. Sasuke managed to get to the lake, he dumped his hands in it and pulled them out to get a quick drink from the lake. He then rubbed the remaining water from his hands on his face to wash it a bit. The lake was big and wide, its water was a light blue sky, the lake was pure and clean, and the shape was huge and rounded like a circle. The edge of the lake was a bit hilly, about 1 meter high. After minutes at the lake, Sasuke heard a small whimper and cry not too far from here. Sniff sob, someone was crying. Sasuke walked towards the direction to find out what it was. With Hinata. Hinata was curled in a ball, holding her legs tightly and crying into them out of sadness. She was depressed, she was upset that Naruto had run away. She was uncontrollably crying, she was angry as well, but angry at herself for not helping Naruto in the past, even though it was not her fault why she didn't help. She was forced by her father to never speak to or interact with Naruto at all. Even though her friends say and it's the truth that it wasn't her fault that she couldn't help Naruto, the poor girl still blamed herself for not helping Naruto in the past. She kept on crying and crying, till her pants got soaked in her own tears. She tried her best to fight them back, but she never could, she just couldn't stop no matter what. She heard footsteps coming over the hill. She turned to the direction of the noise to see Sasuke coming, with a confused look on his face. Sasuke of course didn't see Hinata very often, as he did spend most of his time training for the day he killed Itachi. In fact he hardly saw anyone but Kakashi, he was always busy training and practicing to seek his vengeance against his older brother. Sasuke asked Hinata, "Why are you crying?" Hinata quickly rubbed a tear from one of her eyes and tried to pretend that she had never cried before. "I'm not crying, I was yawning." Hinata lied, turning her view towards the lake. Sigh. Sasuke sighed, then walked towards Hinata, then sat next to her. "You don't have to lie, I can tell that you're lying, there's something else that is bothering you, isn't there?" Sasuke asked. "You're right, I guess lying to an Uchiha is not as easy as I thought." Hinata guessed, tapping her fingers together. "So tell me, what is it?" Sasuke asked again, his look turning back to his normal emo look. "Well, it's about Naruto-kun, he's gone, and I never got to tell him, how much I loved him." Hinata replied sadly, tears forming in her eyes. Sasuke saw the tears and didn't want Hinata to cry, he didn't know why, but he wanted those tears to stop blocking his view of those beautiful Hyuga eyes of hers. He then rubbed one of the tears off of her cheek with his fingers. Hinata had wide eyes at this action Sasuke did and blushed a little. Sasuke then smiled at her and said, "Don't worry, we'll find Naruto, he can't hide forever." Hinata then rubbed her eyes for a second. How do you know?" Hinata asked shyly. "Well, I don't, but that doesn't mean that I can't believe that Naruto will be found and brought back to the village now, does it?" Sasuke asked with smirk on his face. Sasuke-kun," Hinata said, shocked of Sasuke's words and action. Hinata then smiled back at Sasuke. "Something tells me you and Naruto-kun are close to each other." Hinata guessed, "Is that true?" Hinata asked. Sigh. Sasuke sighed sadly, his face changing into a sad expression. "Yes, Hinata, that is true. Naruto and I are like brothers, we both know how it feels to not have any parents, we both share the same type of loneliness. Until I discovered what life Naruto had been dealing with," Sasuke said in a sad tone. Hinata felt sorry for Sasuke, her expression changing into concern mixed with a bit of sadness for Sasuke. "I wasn't much of a brother, now that I think of it, I wasn't much of a brother to him at all. He had suffered greatly, and I ignored it when I should have seen it. What type of brother am I if I can't even help one brother? I always said that he's weak, a dead last and a loser and a dope. I should have realized what Naruto has been feeling while we were in the academy. I'm no good to be his brother," Sasuke admitted, sadly, tears coming from his eyes. Hinata felt something in her body that she wanted to help Sasuke. She grabs Sasuke's hand with hers, smiling at Sasuke. Sasuke went wide-eyed at this. His jaw slightly opened due to the surprise he got. "It's okay, Sasuke-kun. Naruto-kun will forgive you, he always forgives everyone, no matter what they do to him," Hinata stated, holding Sasuke's hand a little tighter with a small smile on her face. I'm just surprised that Naruto forgives the villagers after all they had done to him. They don't deserve his respect or loyalty to Konoha at all. Sasuke said, with a hint of anger in his voice. I know after all the pain they put him through, sob for something sob that he didn't do. Hinata said, tears forming in her eyes again, expression changing into sadness. Sasuke couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed Hinata by the waist then pulled her into a hug. Hinata blushed furiously in shyness, her head turning completely red. Sasuke was blushing, but not as much as Hinata, as he was trying to figure out why he did that. After a couple of seconds with the hug, both Hinata and Sasuke quickly separated from each other after the hug was broken. They both looked away in shyness, both blushing. Well, I have to get back to my senses. Sasuke informed, getting up from the ground, walking towards Hinata. I have to get back as well. I need to continue the search for Naruto-kun. Hinata agreed. Sasuke gave his hand to Hinata and lifted her from the ground. While doing this, both Sasuke and Hinata were feeling something in them, something they both had never felt before, in their hearts. What was it? Sickness, virus, or love? Both Sasuke and Hinata couldn't tell, but they had an important mission to attend to, and that was to find Naruto. Both genins left for their senseis, both left the lake and walked towards their sensei, but still they couldn't forget about the strange feeling they had when they hugged. With Team Guy, Neji had his Byakugan on, Lee had searched the area jumping around trees, and Tenten was helping Lee. Guy was doing the same as Lee but was searching in a different area. Soon the team were reunited with their sensei to discuss the details of the search. Have you found him yet? Guy asked with his usual smile. No, Guy-sensei. I couldn't find Naruto-kun, neither did Tenten. We searched and we searched but couldn't find him. Lee replied. Guy dropped the smile and asked Neji, Neji, did you find anything? Yes and no. Neji replied. What's that supposed to mean? Tenten asked. Yes, I have found Naruto's trail. But no, I can't locate him. He increased the size of his chakra range to make it impossible for me to track. After our match at the Chunin exams, he must have been training hard for his chakra to grow increasingly strong and learn to control it. Neji explained, showing a small expression of a guilty look. Guy realized this and asked, What's wrong, Neji? Nothing, Guy-sensei. Neji replied. Neji, you can tell us, we're your friends, aren't we? Tenten asked, persuading Neji to tell them what's wrong. Sigh. Neji sighed, then folded his arms. Well, when Naruto and I first met at the Chunin exams, I told him that he was destined to fail and never become a great ninja. I insulted his dream in front of his face and I now feel guilty. I thought that he never knew what it means to have a mark placed upon you at birth, but hearing that the Kyuubi was sealed in him, I now know that he understands what it means to have that. Worse, he has been mistreated by the village and wrongly accused of being a demon. I now know that he has suffered more than Hinata and I. Neji explained, with a guilty voice. Don't blame yourself, Neji-kun. Remember, I said to Naruto-kun once that he would not be a true shinobi as well because of his overjoyed attitude. Until now I realized that it was a mask. Lee admitted. What I want to know is why did the third create such a law that would hurt Naruto? Didn't he see how much Naruto had suffered? Tenten asked. I know that the third's law sounds to you that it may have been wrong. But Tenten, see it this way, if the law was never created, would you treat Naruto as a friend? Guy asked with a serious look on his face. Tenten didn't answer. She knew that if the law wasn't created, she would behave like the other villagers. She would have treated Naruto like a demon than a friend. I see, Guy-sensei. We would have treated Naruto-kun like the villagers do instead of a friend. Lee said. That's right, Lee. Guy admitted. But why didn't the third help Naruto? Surely he could have done something to help him. Neji asked with curiosity. The civilian council prevented both the third and shinobi clans to aid Naruto, saying that Naruto could learn to use the demon's chakra to get revenge against Konoha and saying that he deserved it. I was furious when they created that order. I wanted to help Naruto, but the punishment was banishment or death. If I were Naruto's adoptive father, I would have been killed. None of us would let Naruto feel that sort of pain we've been feeling, even when the village brings him pain throughout his whole life. Guy explained, hint of anger in his voice. Neji, Tenten and Lee were just as mad as Guy was. Naruto risks his life to protect the village and all they do is hurt him for thinking that he's a demon that had tried to destroy the village such a long time ago. With Team 10, Asuma, Choji and Shikamaru searched the area for chakra signatures. Unfortunately they could not find anything related to Naruto. Ino used her mind jutsu to search for Naruto's thoughts, but was blocked by the Kyuubi's corrupted chakra. Any clues, Ino? Asuma asked. No, Asuma-sensei, I couldn't find anything. Ino replied sadly. Sigh. Asuma sighed. This is troublesome indeed. How can we find Naruto if the demon's chakra keeps covering up his tracks? Shikamaru asked, arms folded. I don't know, Shikamaru. Just pray that we find Naruto at least. Asuma replied. What happens if we can't find him? We have to find, he can't hide forever. Choji spoke up, worried for his blonde friend. We will find him, Choji, don't worry, it's just that it will take time to find him, that's all. Asuma smiled, calming Choji down. Well, my feet are killing. Does anyone mind if I take a quick walk and sit down? Ino asked. Asuma, Shikamaru and Choji shook their heads. Ino smiled then walked away. But be careful, Ino, alright? Asuma told. Alright. Ino smiled then waved her hand at them. With Ino. Ino had walked about 200 meters away from her team. She found a small boulder which she used as a chair. She took her ninja shoes off and rubbed them. Her feet were killing her after all the walking she had done today to try and find Naruto. While rubbing her feet, Ino heard someone fall and groaned. Stupid bush. Someone groaned in pain. Ino walked towards the location of the sound. She found a young girl with green jade eyes, pink short hair, a red dress, wearing bicycle shorts and blue shoes. She recognized that it was Sakura. Bill bored brow. Ino shouted in surprise. Sakura looked up to see Ino. She was scared that she had seen her. Ino. Sakura shouted in surprise. Sakura instantly got up, rubbing her dress to get rid of some dirt she had taken from tripping over a bush. Sakura was worried. She knew that she wasn't supposed to go out of the village. She was expelled from the mission to search for Naruto. She wasn't supposed to be here even. She knew Ino was upset with her just like everyone else was, so Ino had at least every right to turn Sakura into Tsunade for disobeying her orders. Ino's expression turned to anger and asked, "What are you doing here, billboard brow? Shouldn't you be in the village right now?" Ino asked, with a hint of anger in her voice. Sakura gave Ino a fake smile and replied sadly, I know, Ino. I know that I should be in the village, but I came here to find Naruto-kun. Ino's expression turned a little bit to confusion and thought, Naruto-kun? What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Ino asked, in a confused voice. Sakura blushed lightly and replied, well, you see, Ino. While I was in my house, I had a small talk with my mom. As you know, I've been losing my feelings for Sasuke and I discussed it with my mom. During our conversation, I realized that I love Naruto-kun. My crush for Sasuke blocked my feelings for him for a long time now. I just want to make things right, that's all. Sigh. Ino sighed, well, I don't really believe you, Sakura. You are the reason why he left the village in the first place. And now you're telling me you love him. Ino recapped, in a voice of disappointment, with disappointment on her face. She's right, Sakura was the reason why Naruto had left the village in the first place. But that's why she came here, to look and find Naruto and apologize to him. She had to convince Ino not to tell anyone. Sakura's expression turned to sadness. She looked down towards the ground and admitted sadly, I know, Ino, I know what I did was wrong. But please don't tell anyone. I need to find Naruto-kun. Please. Sakura begged, a few tears forming in her eyes. Ino couldn't help it. Sakura was her friend after all. Plus she did feel guilty as well, remembering how she treated Naruto back in the past. So in a way, she and Sakura might be in the same boat here. Sigh. Ino sighed once again. She smiled at Sakura and agreed, okay, billboard brow. I'll help you to find Naruto. I also feel your guilt, since I've treated him exactly as you did. Ino reminded. So, you'll help me? Sakura asked, drying the tears off of her eyes. Sure, Sakura, that's what friends are for. Ino replied with a smile. Sakura smiled, then Sakura walked towards Ino, giving her a friendly hug. With Shizune, Tsunade and Jiraiya, the trio were meeting to discuss how they will find Naruto. So how do you think we'll find that brat? Tsunade asked, with a serious look on her face. Jiraiya-sama, can't you ask the toads for some help? Shizune asked, curious look on her face. Unfortunately not, Shizune. You see, the toads are only helpers, they help with human affairs when needed. Since Naruto signed a contract with them, they are loyal to him. So they can't help us, we are on our own. Jiraiya explained. Great. Just great. Now how do we find the brat? Tsunade asked, voice of annoyance. What about the slugs, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked. Can't. The slugs don't want to interfere with one of the contacts of the toads, they have a hard relationship that they will not attack, or the toads and the slugs will be enemies again. Tsunade explained, with a voice of annoyance. So I guess we're on our own now, huh? Jiraiya guessed. That's absolutely right, we are on our own now. Tsunade replied. Soon, a shadow of a hawk appeared, the trio looked up to see that it was a messenger hawk. The hawk was brown and had a yellow beak, on the left leg it had a small compartment which held the message, and the other had a small compartment which had clean sheets of paper and a pen which then can reply to the message. Tsunade pulled her right arm up and the hawk landed on it, she then grabbed the message reading it. Dear Tsunade Senju, the council had heard of the departure of the leaf, why ruin the greatest moments in history the leaf has? By order of the council, you and the shinobi are to halt all searches for the demon and class him as a wanted dead missing nin, classed as SSS class, and his bounty should be between 10,030,000, Ryo. Signed by Danzo, an elder civilian council member. What's it say? Jiraiya asked. Tsunade clenched the paper hard in her hand. She then wrinkled the paper and ripped it to shreds and dropped them on the ground. It says that we should halt the search, however I'm the Hokage and I make the rules, not them. Tsunade replied with a hint of anger in her voice, Jiraiya, take this hawk for me please. Tsunade asked. Jiraiya held his arm up and let the hawk climb on. Tsunade then took the pen and clean paper to reply to the message. Dear Council, no, I'm the Hokage and you're just some advisors of mine who are complete idiots. I will not halt the search for Naruto, and I mean Naruto Uzumaki, not demon, a SSS class missing nin. Argue all you want, but I will not stop the search. And if any of you even think about sending a hunter nin, you all will be executed for treason. Goodbye. Tsunade then puts the message on the hawk's leg. Alright Jiraiya, let it go. Tsunade ordered. Jiraiya then lifted his arm a little higher, letting the hawk to fly away. What did you say, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked, in a worried voice. I said that I am Hokage and I will not stop the search. Tsunade replied, small anger tone in her voice. Location, somewhere in the forest. A Junin of the leaf was throwing kuniyas at trees for target practice. The Junin seemed to be a girl, with purple hair tied on the back of her head, which seemed spiky at the end. She had purple eyes, with fair skin. She wore mostly a fishing net-like a t-shirt, you couldn't see it due to her unbuttoned brown-gray long coat she had, wearing a short brown skirt, she was also wearing a leaf headband on. Her name was Anko Mitarashi. One of the best Junins of the leaf and proctor for the Chunin exams. She was far from the village because she wanted to do some target practice in a more of a private area. Also, she didn't want anyone to see her coatless. Her fishing net t-shirt was tight, so it revealed a bit of her body size, as well as her breasts. She was smiling after hitting the exact spot of one of the trees as she wanted to. She was proud of herself and her tough training she was doing. The forest was the one of the few places she'd like to come. No villagers, no interruptions, and definitely no perverts. This was a great place to be in. She liked the silence and the undisturbed noise. All she wanted was peace and quiet every time she finished a mission. However, it was different as she started to hear some noise. She soon heard someone calling a name or some sort. She heard someone screaming, "Naruto," out loud. She snaked to the location to see what was going on. With Iruka. Iruka was all alone. Walking and shouting Naruto's name wasn't the best method to use, but he had no choice, and he was Naruto's first friend he had made with him. Plus, he's also like a father to Naruto, so he was sure that Naruto would come to Iruka for some help. However, since Iruka left the village to find Naruto, he had no luck finding his former blonde student. He, however, did not give up though. He knew if he was the one who was lost, Naruto would never give up no matter what, even if he had to search for the rest of his life. Iruka was now getting a bit worried for Naruto. What if he actually never returns to the village? Has he given up his dream? No. Iruka couldn't let that happen to his adoptive son. He had to find Naruto and make sure that he's okay. Behind the trees, Anko was watching the academy teacher search for Naruto. Naruto. Iruka called out, his hands acting like a megaphone. Naruto. Iruka called out again. Naruto. Anko now remembers who he is. He was one of the genins that tried to make it to Chunin and was known as the demon of Konoha due to the 9 tails inside of him. She doesn't hold any grudges against Naruto, besides eating her lunch once, but mostly she feels the exact pain he's been living through his whole life. Back when Orochimaru betrayed the Leaf, the villagers hated Anko for being the student of the traitor. The Leaf Shinobi didn't hate her because it was not her fault why her master betrayed the village he once called home and sworn to protect. She felt like Naruto was exactly as Iruka thought of Naruto, as her adoptive son, though she did not show it, because if she did then the Junins would not believe that the Anko Mitarashi was feeling sad for once. But inside her she was sad, very sad for the blonde Jinchuriki. He never deserved any of this. Only if the Kyuubi never attacked then he would have gotten a much, much better life than before. Where could she be? Iruka said to himself. Naruto. Iruka continued. Anko thought that it would be fun to help and find Naruto. She also felt sorry for Naruto and wanted to help him out. I better go follow him. Anko thought to herself. With Ino and Sakura. Ino and Sakura were walking together to find Naruto. After Ino agreed, she knew her sensei and teammates wouldn't allow Sakura to help, so she had to split. She had to help Sakura on her own but didn't mind. Ever since they graduated from the academy, Ino has lost feelings for Sasuke as well. She now thinks of Sasuke as a friend instead of someone she loves. She's been trying to rebuild their friendship ever since. This is why she's helping her. Sakura was still upset, but Ino had helped her with her situation. Ino now sees that Sakura really loves Naruto, not Sasuke. She had to help her friend. She knew she was suffering, so she had to help. Sakura was cheered by Ino and gave her a smile. However, Ino can see through Sakura. She knows that's a fake smile. She knew that no matter what she could do, she could never cheer Sakura up. She knew the only way was to help her find Naruto and hopefully she will be happy again. While Ino and Sakura were walking to find Naruto, Ino had heard some groaning. Ah, someone groaned. Sakura, did you hear that? Ino asked. I heard it, Ino. Sakura replied, wide-eyed. Both Ino and Sakura noticed the groan. They knew it was Naruto. Naruto. They both said, then ran towards the direction where they had heard Naruto's groans at. With Naruto. Naruto continued to walk until he was at an open field. He was thinking that he was far away from the leaf now. with the Kyuubi's chakra, he could hear the villagers cheering and celebrating that he's finally gone. Naruto wasn't surprised. He knew they would celebrate and be happy that he's gone even after everything he had done for them. Naruto was still in a bit of pain after his and Sasuke's battle. He however ignored the pain and continued to walk no matter what. Well, they sound happy now don't they? The Kyuubi smirked. Shut up you damn fox groans in pain it's all your fault why my life is like this, why did you have to attack the village? Naruto asked, with an angry expression on his face. Do you think I wanted to destroy that village in the first place? Kyuubi shouted in rage. Don't lie to me, I know that you tried to destroy the village, that's what you do, that's only what you do. Naruto stated. You think that all I do is destroy villages for no reason? Don't you know what happened that day? Kyuubi demanded. I know what happened. You attacked the village and tried to kill everyone. If you think you can lie to me you're wrong, it's all your fault, at least you did so I can be happy that you're paying for your crimes. Naruto replied, seriously. I was forced by. Kyuubi was cut off. Goodbye, I'm not listening to a demon like you. Naruto said, probably I can now retract the chakra back into me. Naruto said to himself. Naruto then took a deep breath and began pulling the chakra back into him. He managed to pull a bit back into him, but still the chakra wouldn't retract. Because of this he decreased the size of the chakra range, making it easier for someone to find him. With Kakashi and Sasuke. Kakashi just got the report from his last dog he summoned, the only one left was Pakun. Pakun soon arrived at Kakashi and Sasuke. So how'd it go, any luck? Kakashi asked. No luck at all. Pakun replied. Pakun soon sniffed once again and had found Naruto's correct scent. Wait, sniff sniff I found him. Pakun shouted, then ran towards the direction. Kakashi and Sasuke then followed. With Team 8, Kakashi, Sasuke and Pakun soon passed Team 8. We found Naruto. Follow us. Sasuke shouted. Team 8 then followed Kakashi, Sasuke and Pakun. With Team Guy, both Team 7 and 8 passed Guy and his team and quickly told them that they had found Naruto. Team Guy followed. With Team 10, where could Ino be? Asuma asked. Troublesome, we lost Naruto then Ino. I always knew that women were very troublesome. Shikamaru spoke up. Soon Team 7, 8 and Guy passed through. We found Naruto. Hurry follow us. Sasuke shouted. What about Ino? Choji asked. Ino's a smart girl Choji, she'll find us soon. Shikamaru replied. Then Shikamaru, Asuma and Choji followed the teams. With Iruka and Anko. Iruka wasn't far from Team 10, he overheard Sasuke then followed them, Anko followed Iruka as well. With Jiraiya, Shizune and Tsunade. Kakashi was the first to pass and informed Tsunade that they found Naruto. Jiraiya, Shizune and Tsunade then left to follow Pakun. With Sakura and Ino. Both Sakura and Ino had run towards the location of Naruto's groans. Ino noticed that Sakura was running much faster than her. She knew Sakura was happy that she had finally found Naruto. Naruto-kun, please be okay. I'm sorry for what I said to you. Sakura thought, sadly but changed her expression to a happy one. With Naruto. Naruto was walking and walking, until he had heard someone shout. Naruto-kun. Someone screamed happily. Naruto turned around, to see two figures coming out of the woods. The two figures were Ino and Sakura. Naruto and Sakura were looking at each other for a few seconds of silence. Naruto wondered why Sakura was here, instead of being with her, Sasuke-kun. The silence was broken by Sakura when she said quietly with a tear coming out of her eye, Naruto-kun. A silence was between Sakura and Naruto. Naruto was wide-eyed after what Sakura had said about him. Naruto-kun, was the surprise Naruto had received. Sakura looked Naruto straight in the eye, she saw anger in Naruto's eyes. He looked mad at her still after what she had said to him this morning. She was really glad though, but sad at the same time. Sakura had finally found her feelings for Naruto, and this was it. This was the moment she had to confess and apologize to Naruto. Soon the silence was broken by Sakura. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry, very, very sorry. Sakura apologized, giving a small soft smile to Naruto. Naruto's expression changed from shock to anger again. You're what? Naruto asked harshly. Sakura felt that and knew he was still angry at her. The only thing she could do was try and talk Naruto out. Ino decided not to interfere with the conversation, so she stood quietly, watching her friend talk to the man she loves. Naruto-kun, I know that it does sound strange to you. Sakura spoke out. What's strange? The part where you put kun in my name, or the fact that you're here instead of trying to get your Sasuke-kun on a date with you? Naruto asked harshly again. Sakura was hurt by his question. Ino was mad. Sakura tried to figure out a different tactic to talk to Naruto. She was interrupted by Naruto's outburst. Just tell me, why are you here, Sakura? Naruto asked, hint of anger in his voice. Ino and Sakura both went wide-eyed and shocked at how Naruto left out the Chan off of Sakura's name. He didn't put Chan at the end of my name. Sakura thought, tears forming in her eyes. Listen, Sakura. If you came here to stop me or anything, you're just wasting your time here. Just go with Ino and go after Sasuke. I don't care about you anymore. Naruto spoke out, harshly. Ino was now mad. Sakura was starting to cry. Ino decided to take measures in her own hand and speak out. Listen, Naruto. Sakura didn't come all the way here just for your damn mouth. You got that. She came here to apologize to you for what she had said to you. Okay. Sakura is very sorry and you just hurt her like that. Ino told Naruto, anger in her voice. And what do you care about Ino? She's not the only one who treats me like crap. Never thought Ino Yakamana would just go and help her rival to look for an idiot like me. Tell me, Ino, why are you here then, huh? Naruto demanded. Ino looked down at the ground in shame. He was right. Naruto was right. Ino had treated him badly just as much as Sakura had. There was no excuse that he was right. But still Ino had to help Sakura with this. Ino dropped the shamed look and looked at Naruto dead in the eyes. Filled with determination to help her pink-haired friend. Naruto, please listen. Ino begged. This may sound strange to you, but Sakura. Ino was cut off by Sakura. No, Ino. I have to tell Naruto. I'm the one that has to talk to him about what I have found out during his leaving. Sakura told Ino. Ino nodded, then stayed silent, watching her friend take care of the problem from here. Naruto still had his angry expression look on. He stared at Sakura straight in the eyes. Sakura cleared the tears from her eyes, giving Naruto a soft, weak smile. Naruto-kun. Sakura said softly, I have a confession to make. Sakura continued. Naruto decided to hear this. This interested him quite a bit. I have to tell you that, well, while you were gone, Naruto-kun. I was thinking about you for a while now. Since you left, you were all that I was thinking of. I talked to my mom about you for a bit. There's something that I remember about Naruto-kun. A memory, a feeling, something that I kept hidden from myself for years until now. Sakura explained. Naruto started to hear her out. Something interested him a lot. Something that he thought that she was going to say may be something to hear about. And well, Naruto-kun, I was hiding it for years and kept it buried within me. I followed the villagers, seeing how cool Sasuke was like everyone said he was, made me want to be with him. It hid my feelings for you, Naruto-kun. I love you. Sakura confessed, still holding the soft weak smile, tears coming from her eyes. Naruto went wide-eyed at this confession. The girl of his dreams had finally said that she loved him. Though for Naruto, it was too late for that. Naruto changed his expression from shock to anger again. And you expect me to come to the village after what you'd said? Naruto asked harshly. Sakura opened her eyes wide in sadness. Ino was upset with her friend and was shocked by what Naruto had said. Forget it. You just want me back because of Sasuke Tem. You must have failed to score a date with him that you wanted me to love you so Tem would be jealous and start to date you instead. Naruto guessed. Sakura clenched her hands on her chest, sad that Naruto thought of Sakura that way. Naruto-kun, no. It's not like that. I actually do love you. Sakura objected, worry in her voice. Yeah, right. Like you would ever love me, Sakura. All you care about is Sasuke. Always Sasuke that, Sasuke this, in fact everything was about Sasuke. So how does this make it true that you love me? Instead of using me to win the Tem's heart? Naruto demanded. Sakura didn't say a word, she was heartbroken by Naruto's words and attitude that she was about to cry. Just as I thought, Sakura. You can't answer because it's true. All you want is Sasuke Tem, not me, never me. Naruto told Sakura, coldly. Sakura shot her head up at Naruto and screamed, Naruto-kun, please. I love you. I'm sorry for hurting. Well, that doesn't change the fact that what you said you meant alright. Naruto stated. But Naruto-kun, what I said I didn't mean. Well, I mean to say it, but now I don't. Please forgive me. Sakura begged, tears falling from her eyes. Shut up. Naruto snapped at Sakura. Sakura and Ino knew that from that point Naruto was furious. Sakura was very sad, she had never felt this depressed before in her life. I am so sick of you lying to me like that. Don't you know, Sakura? Guess what, I'm human. Not a monster like you called me. I have feelings like any normal boy. If I fall for your scheme, I know that I will be useless and thrown away like trash. Naruto screamed in rage. Naruto-kun. I would never do that to you, please listen. I'm sorry for what I have done to you this morning. I admit that I was just blind by the crush I had for Sasuke, but I figure that it's no excuse for what I did to you in the past and today. I'm very sorry, Naruto-kun. Sakura apologized softly. If that's what you have to say for yourself, then I pity you and your mistake, but it's too late. The village is way better without me. Naruto replied coldly, turning his back against Ino and Sakura. Sniff. Naruto-kun, sob, please don't go. Sakura begged, wiping the tears off of her eyes. Goodbye, Sakura. Ino. I hope to never see you again. With that said, Naruto started to walk away. Sniff. Naruto-kun, sob, Sakura whispered to herself. I'm sorry, Sakura-chan, but I had enough. Please forgive me. Naruto thought to himself, a tear escaping his eyes. Suddenly, Naruto was tackled down by a figure. Who looked to be Sasuke. OFFF. Naruto fell to the ground. Got him. I got him, yelled Sasuke. Two other figures then followed Sasuke and tackled Naruto to the ground. The figures revealed to be Lee and Neji. Hold him still, Neji informed, grabbing both of Naruto's hands and tightening his grip on them. Let go of me, Naruto demanded. Sasuke, Neji, Lee. Ino gasped. Oi, Sakura-chan, Ino-chan. Good to see you too. Lee greeted with a smile while holding Naruto down. Sakura, what the hell are you doing here? Sasuke asked with a tough angry stare towards her. Agreed. You were ordered to stay within the walls of the village. Neji reminded. Sakura blushed and tried to talk. Well, you see. I was. It's interesting to ask because. Sakura was cut off by Neji. Tell us later when you have your vocabulary checked. Neji informed. Let go of me now. Naruto demanded. No, Naruto, we are bringing you back to the village. Please understand that the decision to run away from Konoha is a bad one. We're here to save you. Sasuke informed. I'm not going back to the village. Naruto shouted. Yes, you are. A voice said. Naruto turned his head to see Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune, Team Guy, 10 and 8 along with Kakashi walking towards Naruto. You are coming back to the village, Naruto. Honestly running away from us. Jiraiya ordered, with a serious look on his face. Please let me go. Naruto begged, with an angry expression on his face. Naruto. We are here to bring you back. Kakashi informed. I don't care. The village is much better without me. Naruto objected. There are people who care for you, Naruto. Look at us for example. Kakashi replied. Still, I would rather leave than let Sakura hurt me again. Naruto objected once again. Sakura was hurt by Naruto's words. Kakashi looked at Sakura for a bit, feeling sorry for his pink student, then turned his view towards Naruto. Naruto, what happened? I'm sure that Sakura didn't mean. I'm sure she had learned her lesson. Now let's get back to the village. Kakashi told Naruto, in his calm voice. I'm not going back and that's final. Naruto screamed. Kakashi sighed. Well, I guess I have to take matters into my own hands. Tsunade spoke up, hint of anger in her voice. Brat. As Hokage. You're Hokage. I order you to return to the village immediately. Tsunade announced. No. Naruto growled. The rookies flinched in fear by Naruto's reaction, but then brushed it off, except for the Junins and Sanins who didn't flinch at all, but kept their look on Naruto. Then I guess I have no choice. Tsunade then cracked her knuckles. Tsunade-sama. Please don't hurt Naruto-kun too bad. Shizune shouted, worry in her voice. Don't worry. He'll get a real beating from me for leaving the village like that. But now I'm just going to knock him out. Tsunade replied with a grin. No. Naruto screamed, his red chakra started to grow massively unsuspected. The whole group watched in horror as Naruto's eyes had changed from blue cerulean to red blood fox eyes. Tsunade's expression changed to horror, seeing the reaction of her godson. Before Naruto made a move, Sasuke sighed and said quietly, oh no. Naruto then stood up on his feet, launching Sasuke, Neji and Lee to the air, freeing himself from their grasp. The trio landed on their feet, then watched Naruto standing up slowly, groaning and moaning with red chakra growing increasingly around him. The little amount of demon chakra Naruto had managed to reduce grew at least 2 to 3 times larger than it was before. All the rookies quickly took a fighting stance except for Sakura and Ino, as the two watched in horror. More like only Ino watched in horror. There was more worry in Sakura than horror for the man Sakura had just realized that she loved. The Junins and Sanins went wide eyes at what they just saw. Feeling sorry for their students seeing how bad in state their blonde friend is in. Kakashi felt disappointed in himself even though he was not the one to blame for Naruto's situation. Shizune was then worried for her sensei, knowing that she had become Hokage because of Naruto. Jiraiya was determined to help Naruto. His student wouldn't want to see his own son in this shape. Naruto then looked at himself in fear. Looking at his hands, he realized that the red chakra he had reduced just grew much bigger than it was before. He tried to reduce it again, but it was too difficult to reduce. He still felt a lot of pain just by seeing Sakura, and it was difficult to reduce the aura of red chakra around him. See. Naruto said quietly. The whole group listened and stared at Naruto wide eyes. See why I have to leave. He wants to kill everyone. He wants to get revenge for what he had suffered. That's why I can't leave the village. Naruto explained quietly, but loud enough to let the whole group hear. The rookies didn't know what Naruto meant by he, but after a few seconds of thinking they figured he was referring to the Kyuubi. Their senseis and the Sanins knew what Naruto was referring to as well. Knowing the answer, they suspect Naruto was leaving because the Kyuubi wanted to destroy the village, killing everyone who had made him suffer for the past 13 years. Sakura then noticed that Naruto was in pain from her words and what she had done to him in the past, but also he's leaving to make sure that his friends and her wouldn't be harmed by the demon inside of him. That made a clear sign that Naruto still loves Sakura. He's leaving so the demon would not harm her. Naruto. We'll help you. Trust us, we'll make sure that you're safe, he won't harm anyone. Kakashi said. Naruto, we know of the Kyuubi inside of you. Shino spoke up, and Naruto was shocked. If Shino knows, that means everyone does, but we don't hate you. We'll figure out a solution to help you. Shino finished. Naruto was shocked. He thought his friend would have the exact same reaction as the villagers would towards him. Although he was trusting them a bit more, so he had got to tell them sooner or later. Naruto, I can seal the demon chakra. I can help you. Just return to Konoha and I'll help. Jiraiya spoke up. I'm sorry, but I can't return. Naruto apologized, looking down towards the ground. Why? Sakura asked, tears streaming down her face. Because, Kyuubi will not be sealed that easily. If the fourth Hokage couldn't seal the power completely, then what good will sealing the power be today? Naruto explained, with a sad look on his face. Naruto. This time the seal will seal the power away permanently. No matter what, I have made this seal much stronger than the one Minato made a long time ago. This time the Kyuubi's chakra will be sealed. Jiraiya explained, arms folded. It doesn't matter, pervy sage. Kyuubi can break any seal no matter how powerful or how strong it is. He will always break them no matter what. His chakra always grows stronger and stronger till the seal is broken. There's no point in sealing it. Naruto explained. I know someone who's a good friend of mine, he's a Jinchuriki like you. He'll teach you to control your chakra and the demon within you. Jiraiya replied. I can't control, can't you see? He's too strong and he already started to take control of my body. Naruto shouted. Jiraiya knew he was telling the truth. The Kyuubi was taking over his body. It was only a matter of time before his body would be claimed by the demon. All he could do was at least stop the timing of the process before it's complete. But there might be a solution to this, Naruto. You just have to come with us and I'll fix it. I promise. Jiraiya explained. Sorry pervy sage, but I have to go. Goodbye. With that said, Naruto turned around to walk who knows where, but as long as he got as far away from Konoha as possible, a few tears streamed his eyes, giving one last final thought. I'm sorry Sakura-chan, everyone. I don't want you all to die. Naruto thought. Like hell you are. Sasuke shouted. With that said, he punched Naruto in the face. Punch. Naruto fell to the ground, letting the rookies gasp at what had happened. Naruto turned his body facing Sasuke, who had a serious look, staring at Naruto in the eyes like daggers. Sasuke then hovered over Naruto's body, facing Naruto with his. Making sure the blonde won't escape. Did that wake you up, idiot? Sasuke demanded, hint of worry and anger in his voice. Yes, it did. Naruto coldly. So get off of me and return to Konoha. You wasted a few hours of your life for a helpless person which no one can save. Naruto added. You're coming home. Sasuke shouted again, pulling his fist back, attempting to knock the blonde out. Naruto however caught the punch and pushed his legs against Sasuke's stomach and launched him into Kakashi. Kakashi quickly caught Sasuke before he fell. Naruto then started to run but was stopped by Jiraiya when he appeared in front of him. This is not going to be easy, isn't it? Naruto asked. No, it's not, Naruto. Jiraiya replied. You know, we came here to bring you back. Even if we have to use force. Shikamaru informed. Naruto looked at everyone, then turned back to Jiraiya. Sai, I guess I have no choice but to fight all of you. Naruto guessed. You know, Naruto, some of us are Junins. Kakashi reminded. And I have lots more experiences and training than you had while I was in the Great Third Ninja War. Tsunade reminded. We trained a lot and were much stronger than we were before, Naruto. Shikamaru informed. Plus there's numbers on our side, there's no way you can beat us all. Sasuke told Naruto. Naruto sighed one more time, closing his eyes. When they opened, he quickly made a few hand signs and shouted, Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Poof. Hundreds of clones appeared around everyone. Even though they still saw the real Naruto, the clones were making it a bit hard to spot him. Run! Naruto screamed. With that said, all the shadow clones started to run different directions around everyone, separating from each other. The entire group looked as the clones ran away from them, not telling which Naruto is which. Everyone, go and fight Naruto. If they're all just clones on your locations, then return here and we'll search for the real one. Tsunade ordered. Everyone then jumped and chased all the clones to search for the real Naruto. Sakura was the only one who was still there. She had realized Jiraiya was looking at a specific Naruto and just this one, not the clones. Sakura decided to follow Jiraiya instead, he may be onto something. With Kiba and Akamaru, the two were chasing down a group of clones. A group, more like an army of clones instead. Kiba and Akamaru were closing in at high speed towards them. Come on Naruto, you can't run like this forever. Kiba shouted. Arf. Akamaru barked in agreement. Try and stop me, mutt boy. Naruto mocked. Kiba growled in rage. Enough was enough, time to bring the special move. That's it, Akamaru. Fang over Fang now, Kiba ordered. Poof. Akamaru turned into an exact duplicate of Kiba and smiled. Both Kiba and Akamaru then moved like drills towards all the clones. Fang over Fang, Kiba shouted. Soon all the clones were dispersing one by one. Poof, 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 poof. Endlessly, endlessly. The clones were dispersing. Hundreds became tens, tens became fives. Soon all the clones were finally gone. With one last clone gone, it was clear that the real Naruto was not one of these guys at all. Poof. The last clone dispersed. Poof. Akamaru turned back into Kiba. Both Kiba and Akamaru landed on the ground, with Kiba raging that his real blonde friend was never with these clones to begin with. Damn it. He wasn't here. Kiba screamed in rage. Akamaru sniffed a bit. He found Naruto's scent. Only thing is, where and which clone did he get it from? Sniff sniff arf. Arf. Akamaru alerted. Kiba looked down at his doing, changing his expression from anger to calm and confused. What's wrong, Akamaru? Kiba asked, hoping that Akamaru found anything related to Naruto. Arf. Arf. Akamaru explained. You found Naruto. With that said, Kiba decided to take a small sniff for himself. Sniff sniff. After a while Kiba had finally found Naruto's scent. We have to go now. Kiba shouted. With that said, both Kiba and Akamaru jumped towards Naruto's location. With Neji, Lee and Tenten, the trio were rushing towards all the Naruto clones. Neji had his Byakugan up, even though Naruto splits his chakra with all his clones, making sure they're equal to try and fool Neji. He remembers what was Naruto's real amount of chakra before he splits it. Counting Naruto has the Kyuubi chakra as well, he could tell which one was probably the real Naruto. Lee and Tenten stayed behind Neji, knowing if they followed him, he could lead them to the real Naruto. Neji-kun, have you found Naruto yet? Lee asked. Yes, I found a few clones who I believe to be Naruto. The others are just duplicates. The ones with the red chakra are probably the real ones. Neji pointed out the clones. Yosh, we shall find Naruto, Lee shouted in relief. I'll follow the duplicates in case if they might be Naruto. Alright, Tenten shouted. Lee and Neji nodded. With that said, Tenten sped up and followed the other clones while Neji and Lee struck the ones they believed were the real Naruto. Lee, throw them, Neji ordered. Yosh, Neji, Lee replied. Lee threw hundreds of kunais in the air, which Neji then went under and started his clan's secret technique. 8 trigrams and 64 palms. Neji shouted. A sphere of blue chakra covered Neji, as his palms were hitting the bottoms of the kunai, launching them towards the clones. These kunai were blunt, may cut Naruto a little, but nothing that Tsunade can heal. These were also chakra-infused kunais, which meant even if they hit Naruto a little, they would disperse the clone's chakra. Dispersing the clones with it. Poof, 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 poof. Soon, the clones that were expected to be the real Naruto disappeared. As it turns out, the real Naruto is not here at all and never was. Soon Tenten arrived, to meet her 2 teammates and discuss what had happened. Did you find him yet? Tenten asked. No, we haven't, they're all clones. Neji replied, looking down towards the ground in sadness. We have to get back, the others may have found Naruto. Neji finished. The trio then left to go back where they will meet the rest of the group. With Kakashi and Sasuke. Both Sasuke and Kakashi were dealing with the clones, they managed to trap the clones. They stood between them, Sasuke on one side and Kakashi on the other. That's enough, Naruto. As your sensei and Junin instructor, I order you to stop this silly act at once. Kakashi ordered, taking a fighting stance. Yeah, right. One clone shouted. If you want to bring us back to Konoha, you'll have to make us. Another shouted. If you can find the real one, that is. Another clone shouted, mockingly. Sasuke jumped high in the air, several feet above the clones. Doing multiple hand signs, Sasuke performed a jutsu while in midair. Fireball jutsu, Sasuke shouted, spitting a huge chunk of fireball towards the clones. The clones went wide-eyed and surprised. They were going to run away, but the fireball was already too close to them. Soon the entire fireball engulfed them, dispersing the clones. Poof! All the clones were now gone. It seems like Naruto wasn't here at all either. That could have hurt Naruto critically, you know. Kakashi reminded, in his calm voice. It's what he gets for leaving the village and me. Sasuke answered, hint of anger in his voice. Naruto's not here. We should get back where we're meeting the others at. Hopefully they found Naruto. Kakashi guessed. Sasuke nodded. Then both Sasuke and Kakashi started to jump towards the location where they're going to meet the others. Sensei, I will not fail you. I will protect the ones closest to me. I promise. Kakashi thought sadly. Naruto, please come back, you're my brother. I have no else but you. Sasuke thought worriedly. With Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Hinata and Shino. The young genins were chasing down all the clones. They managed to reduce the distance between them and the clones. Getting closer, and closer to their targets. Alright, is everyone ready? Shikamaru asked. Everyone nodded. You remember the plan we discussed earlier, do you? Shikamaru asked again. Everyone nodded again. Alright, now let's do it. Shikamaru shouted. Everyone separated from each other in different directions. They were now following Shikamaru's plan. Choji and Shino jumped faster than everyone else. The two were gaining some distance ahead of the clones. Both stopped and looked and waited till the clones got close to them. They were ready. For what? Shino called out his bugs while Choji expanded his hands. Shino's bugs formed a net while Choji had to put his large hands behind it to secure the net. Is he sure this is going to work? Shino asked coldly. Are you kidding? Shikamaru's plans always work. Choji replied with a smile on his face. Shikamaru jumped up above Choji and Shino and stood on one of the branches of the trees, looking at the Naruto clones heading right to their trap. He started to do his clan's jutsu stance by kneeling down, concentrating on the clones. He got his chakra ready for the plan. Behind the clones were Hinata and Ino. The two genins were chasing the clones like Shikamaru ordered them to do. Ino-chan, do you still have your jutsu up? Hinata asked. Yes, I do. Ino replied. Ino had her hands up together, performing the hand sign of her family's jutsu called the mind control jutsu. She tricked all the clones that Shikamaru, Shino and Choji were still with them, making them ignore the fact that the real ones were just right up their alley. The clones were closing in on Shino and Choji. This made Shikamaru smirk as his plan was working. Alright, get ready, Shikamaru shouted. In 3, 2, 1, Shikamaru shouted. Choji then focused most of his strength on his feet to keep himself stable while Shino's bugs focused on themselves intact for the impact. Soon Ino dropped her jutsu, then all the shadow clones jumped into the net accidentally. They struggled to get out, but soon they were trapped by Shikamaru's shadow-possessing jutsu. Got you now, Shikamaru smirked. Hinata, now, Shikamaru shouted, changing his expression to seriousness. Right, Hinata shouted, activating her Byakugan. 8 trigrams and 64 palms. Hinata shouted, as she was covered in a sphere of chakra. doing multiple palm rotations all around her. She was launched towards the clones, soon dispersing them one by one till they were no more. With one final thought, Hinata closed her eyes hard. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. Please forgive me. Poof. The last shadow clone dispersed, leaving a bit of smoke in the area till it was gone. Choji returned his hands back to normal, Shikamaru retracted his shadow back, and Shino recalled all of his bugs back. Seems like these were just clones. Naruto is definitely not here. Shino spoke up. True. Shikamaru nodded in agreement. We have to find him. Ino shouted, in worry. Let's get back with the others, probably they found Naruto. Shikamaru spoke up. With that said, everyone left the area and returned back to the spot where they will meet everyone else. With Kurenai, Asuma and Guy. The three Junins had just managed to defeat all the Naruto clones quickly. They were fast, just like Kakashi. They mostly used taijutsu to fight against all the Naruto clones to make sure they didn't injure the real one. But they were wrong. The real Naruto wasn't here at all. Well, that was a waste of time. Asuma, smoking himself a cigarette, agreed. Kurenai agreed. I can't believe Naruto's flames of youth managed to trick mine. Lee could never accomplish that. Where does Kakashi get these youthful students of his? Guy asked, I smiling and smiling. Well, we gotta report this to Tsunade-sama. She'll need to learn the news and the report about Naruto. Kurenai spoke up. Guy and Asuma nodded in agreement. The three Junin left, with Tsunade and Shizune. Shizune's jaw dropped in complete horror, seeing all the clones were having large humps of bumps on their heads before disappearing. This was too much even for Naruto to witness the great strength of the slug Sannin. Don't you think that was a little too much? Shizune asked, worry in her voice. Nope. It's what he deserves for abandoning Konoha. Such a shame these were clones, not the real idiots we're looking for. Tsunade said, anger in her voice. Shizune. We need to get back to the others. Tsunade ordered. However, Tsunade did a bit of thinking and realized that Jiraiya was going after a specific clone of Naruto's. She turned around to Shizune and shouted, stop. Ignore that order. Instead, we're going to Jiraiya. He'll probably know where Naruto is. Hi T Tsunade-sama. Shizune bowed. Both medics left. With Jiraiya and Sakura. Sakura was behind Jiraiya. She had a small distance behind him to make sure he didn't see her. Jiraiya knew she was following him from the beginning since he started to chase down the Naruto clone. They were no longer in an open field, just like the others, they were in a large forest with large trees. Think about the forest of death. I know you're here behind me, kid. Jiraiya informed. Sakura started to gain some speed next to Jiraiya. She had a sad face on, looking down to the ground. Jiraiya-sama, I'm sorry. Sakura apologized. Look, I know now that you're sorry. And you're right, I am still mad at you. However, we can't start to talk about what you did to Naruto in the past. We have to think about it now. Right now Naruto tricked the others. And we're the only ones left to get him. Got it? Jiraiya asked, his voice filled with seriousness. Got it. Sakura replied with a small smile of relief. Jiraiya smiled back, then continued to hunt for Naruto. Soon Sakura and Jiraiya got close to the Naruto clone. Jiraiya then accelerated his speed, getting closer to the clone. He then quickly tackled the clone to the ground, making them fall meters and meters to the ground. Boom. The two crashed to the ground. Jiraiya had held Naruto to the ground with his right hand. Naruto was struggling to get up but was always stopped by Jiraiya. Sakura landed next to Jiraiya, looking at Naruto with worry in her eyes. How do you know it's me, pervy sage? Naruto asked, with a smirk on his face. Simple. It's the oldest gambling trick in the book Naruto. You puzzle everyone's mind with the item by having multiple of items moving fast. Once that is finished, you then let the sucker pick which item is the true item. Jiraiya explained with a smirk on his face, though I'd seen this trick at least hundreds of times to know a way to go against it. And that is to keep an eye on the prize. In this case Naruto, That prize is you. Jiraiya finished. Naruto chuckled. I thought Granny would know like you. I'm surprised she didn't. Naruto commented. Why do you think she's been named the legendary sucker Naruto? Jiraiya asked. Jiraiya loosened his grip on Naruto, then stood up. Now Naruto, if you would be so kind as to come back to Konoha with us, we may not have to use force. I am a Sannin after all and you are a Genin. That just proves that you and I have a huge gap between our power and strength Naruto. I faced ninjas and mercenaries which are a snack to me. Your current strength is not even a snack, below that you have to make up a word for it. Now come with me or else. Jiraiya threatened, with a serious expression on his face. Naruto stood up, had a frown on his face, then looked down. Next thing that happened, he quickly did multiple hand seals. Sexy jutsu. Naruto shouted. Poof. A tall slim girl, with large breasts was covered in smoke, mostly just her lower body and her chest. She was tanned like Naruto, with eyes like Naruto, hair like Naruto's and whiskers like Naruto's. She had long twin ponytailed hair, doing a sexy pose. Jiraiya couldn't help but nosebleed at this. Sakura's jaw dropped, her eyes widened at the disgraceful sight of women. Excuse me, may I have a hug from you Jiraiya? I'm a bit cold, could you let me in your clothes please? Naruto asked shyly. Yes you can Idon. Jiraiya quickly replied, blushing furiously until he fainted. Jiraiya then dropped to the ground and fainted with a goofy smile on his face while having a large portion of blood coming out of his nose. Poof. Naruto laughed, then commented, you should have seen the look on your face pervy sage. Fang over fang. Naruto and Sakura heard shouting, they both turned their heads to the high trees where the voice came from. Their two objects or figures came out moving like drills towards Naruto. Naruto gasped then jumped back before the drill's impact. Boom. The two drills landed, revealing the figures looked human when a bit of smoke was cleared. Poof. One of the figures appeared to be turned into a small puppy or dog. There you are you idiot. I've been looking all over for you. One of the figures shouted with a familiar voice. It was by that stage Naruto and Sakura had realized that these two were Kiba and Akamaru. Kiba. Akamaru. Naruto gasped, then started to jump away. You won't get away that easy Naruto. Akamaru again. Kiba ordered. Arf. Akamaru barked. Poof. Akamaru turned into Kiba again. Kiba then shouted, Fang over fang. Both of them then started to move like drills, following Naruto. Naruto turned to see the two drills moving towards him at a quick speed. Crap. Naruto shouted. Think. I have to lose these two idiots or else they will catch up to me. Naruto thought. Aha. Naruto shouted in his mind. Naruto stopped, then shouted, Shadow clone Justu. Poof. Two shadow clones appeared behind Naruto. Quickly Naruto drew both of his arms back towards the shadow clones, allowing them to form the Rasengan on each hand of Naruto's. Poof. The clones disappeared. With the two Rasengans Naruto had formed, he charged towards the two drills, shoving his Rasengan towards the two. Rasengan. Naruto shouted. The two jutsus finally clashed, resulting in an explosion. Boom. The entire area was filled with dust. Clearing out, the dust revealed Kiba and Akamaru. Poof. Akamaru turned back to normal. Naruto was smirking as he managed to stop Kiba's fang over fang technique. What made Naruto chuckle, holding up a laugh, was the fact that Kiba's nose was bleeding, his cheeks blushing. Noticing this, Naruto puzzled this up. The sexy jutsu, the covenant time Kiba and Akamaru showed up. Figuring Kiba saw Naruto's form of sexy jutsu. I never knew Kiba that you were a pervert. Naruto commented, with a smile. Kiba quickly rubbed his nose and replied with his eyes flaming, I didn't see anything you idiot. Nothing. No lady covered in smoke. So I see. Naruto said, seeing how Kiba was blushing even more than before. Anyway, come back to Konoha or else. Kiba demanded. Or else what? Naruto asked. That's it. Kiba growled, then charged towards Naruto. Kiba sent a series of kicks and punches towards Naruto. Surprisingly, Naruto managed to dodge all the kicks and punches, moving at a very fast speed. Is this Kyuubi's power? Oh man, Naruto has the best ability. Kiba thought, while trying to lay a finger on Naruto. Naruto just kept on dodging and dodging Kiba's attacks until the boy was so tired that he just dropped on the floor panting like a bug. What's wrong, Kiba? Is Shikamaru's laziness affecting you? Naruto smirked. Kiba growled. There you are. Naruto turned his head to see Tsunade jumping towards him, about to punch him when impact. Naruto quickly jumped back before Tsunade landed on the ground. Boom. There you are, brat. Tsunade shouted, then charged to punch Naruto. Naruto gasped. He tried his best to avoid every punch that was thrown to him as possible. It was strange for Tsunade, as Naruto never had this speed the first time they battled against each other. After dodging all of Tsunade's punches, Naruto jumped away from her, then started to run away. That's when he discovered that Shizune was chasing him through the woods. Shizune pulled a sleeve up to reveal an arm weapon shooter. Note, I have no idea what the name of this thing is at all, so help please. She pulled the bands in the back and released them, shooting out needles towards Naruto. These needles are laced with sleeping medicine, he has to sleep through this. Shizune thought. The needles were about to hit Naruto, until he flashed away in high speed, making Shizune dumbfounded of what had just happened. Naruto reappeared behind Shizune, making her gasp while Naruto growled, his eyes started to bleed. Now you die, Naruto shouted, in a demonic voice. As soon as Naruto was about to swipe Shizune with his nails, his other hand stopped him from ripping the woman to shreds. No, I will not let you hurt her. Naruto shouted, his voice turning back to normal. Naruto kicked Shizune away from him, then continued to jump branch to branch. While he was jumping, he heard footsteps, and panting far away from him, he heard that some people were after him, probably the rest of the group. Naruto landed on solid ground, then started to run, until he was stopped by someone he considered as a father, Iruka. Iruka standing in front of Naruto, standing straight, having a serious look on his face. Iruka walked up towards Naruto, who backed a few steps from Iruka, looking confused as to why his former academy teacher was here. Naruto, good to see you, I have finally found you. Iruka said in a relief voice, smiling that his former student is okay. Iruka-sensei. Naruto exclaimed, I'm not your sensei anymore, remember, you passed. Don't you remember that you have a dream, a nice life here, are you really going to throw all that away? Iruka asked, in a stern voice. Iruka-sensei. I know it's hard to accept, but Kyuubi is going to kill everyone, I have to leave. Naruto protested. Iruka glared, then replied, I know the Kyuubi has caused you problems in the past, Naruto. But we'll find a way to fix it. I promise you that. I'm sorry, Iruka-sensei. I just can't. Naruto was cut off by a large headache. Naruto grabbed his head and collapsed to his knees. Iruka was worried and tried to rush towards Naruto, but he was stopped when a large long red fox tail stopped him from getting near Naruto. The tail was leading all the way to Naruto's butt. Is this what the Kyuubi can do? Is this what he's doing? You! Naruto screamed. Iruka was dumbfounded. Ahahaha. I remember you, child. Kyuubi. Naruto remembered. Naruto. Iruka was confused. That pathetic worm is no longer with us. Don't you remember me, the demon that made you an orphan? Kyuubi. Naruto asked. Kyuubi. Iruka exclaimed, shocked that he's actually talking to the murderer of his parents in his former student's body. Surprised you remember me. Though of course you can't forget the moment when I crushed the ones that brought you into this world through your whole life. I must say that I am rather surprised that you didn't turn out like those fools back in Konoha. Beating me, trying to kill me, and making me suffer throughout my whole life. Kyuubi commented. Release Naruto's body now, Iruka demanded, anger in his voice. I wish I could get out of his stupid body. I don't think this one suits me. Though hearing how mad you are to see me must mean you hate the idiot as well. Kyuubi chuckled, smirking at Iruka. I don't hate Naruto. I hate you. You're the reason why he's suffered throughout his whole life. Iruka was glaring daggers at Kyuubi Naruto. Is that so? Well, I guess you do hate, but not this fool. My seal is breaking, Iruka. I might not escape this pitiful body. But there are some adjustments that I can make to make this pathetic body into a powerful warrior. Right after the destruction of Konoha, Kyuubi mocked. Iruka growled. Let Naruto's body go now. Iruka demanded, charging towards the Kyuubi Naruto. Kyuubi Naruto smirked, then he swiped his tail at Iruka. Iruka realized that his action cost him his life. The tail was just about a meter away from hitting and crushing the Chunin. His eyes had fear. Before the tail made contact, Iruka was pushed out of the way by what he could describe was pale brown and purple that was all he could see before the tail hit the ground. Boom. Once the dust cleared, Iruka coughed and coughed before seeing a woman, about almost his height and size, a little smaller and shorter. Had purple hair and brown eyes, wearing a leaf headband, with a long pale brown coat and brown short skirt, wearing a tight fishnet t-shirt. Iruka kind of took a small look at her breast before looking at her fair-skinned beautiful face. She was kneeling right next to Iruka, having a worried look on her face. Are you okay? She asked. Yeah, I'm fine, Iruka replied. Who are you? Iruka asked. Anko. Anko Mitarashi. Anko replied, giving Iruka a small smile. Iruka is my name, Iruka informed. Both Anko and Iruka got up from the ground to see that a few small trees were gone, as well as most of the grass which had been reduced to nothing but dirt. Such damage was done by only one swing of a tail. They were just lucky that it was only one tail and not 9. Imagine 9 tails doing such devastation and destruction more than the one tail. They both saw Naruto, with red glowing eyes now. He was standing like an animal, his arms slung down, his breathing heavily, and his eyes were bleeding more and more than before. The two shinobi took a quick fighting stance. Never had Iruka thought that he and Naruto would have to fight each other at all. It pained him to even fight one of his students. But he had no choice. He had to knock Naruto out and bring him back to the village to find a way to stop the Kyuubi from taking over his body. The two charged towards Naruto. Striking Shadow Snake. Anko shouted, throwing her arm forward towards Naruto. Then, 3 long snakes appeared from her sleeves, stretching out towards Naruto. Naruto dodged the attack. He jumped up high in the air, then swung his tail towards Anko. However, Iruka came by and stopped Naruto's strike by freezing the tail. Wind release. Freezing blizzard. Iruka did multiple hand signs, then blew his mouth, releasing a freezing wind upon Naruto's tail, freezing the tail. With Naruto's tail frozen and heavy, he fell straight to the ground with his tail shattering into pieces. Though the tail was made of chakra, it quickly grew back. Naruto growled at Iruka and Anko, then charged towards the two. Naruto sent a series of kicks and punches on Anko. She blocked every kick and punch before tying his arms and legs up with her snakes. Iruka froze the tail quickly again, but Naruto was too strong. His chakra was too strong. He released his left hand and grabbed Anko by the neck and choked her until she collapsed to the ground, releasing Naruto from the snakes she had him tied up in. Iruka quickly rushed to Anko and tried to free her neck, only to get choked by Naruto on the other hand. Now Naruto had 2 shinobi up, choking them out of their lives until they would drop dead. Now you die, Kyuubi Naruto shouted. The two looked at him. Inside of Naruto, he was watching in horror as Kyuubi was killing one of his important friends and another person he had only seen once at the second test of the Chunin exams. Let go of them now, Naruto demanded. His voice was beginning to be desperate. They will die, the Kyuubi replied. Outside of Naruto's mind, Naruto gained a bit of consciousness and control of his body. Releasing his strong grip on the 2 shinobi. I said let them go now, Naruto shouted. With that said, Iruka managed to free himself first from Naruto's hand. he quickly grabbed Anko by the waist and pulled her away from Naruto. He could see that Naruto was trying his best to keep himself away from the two. Seeing how much the poor boy is struggling to keep his body under control, the Kyuubi managed to regain control over Naruto's body, and began walking to Anko and Iruka. The ice that the tail was frozen in melted off due to the amount of chakra the Kyuubi was pouring in to free it. Shadow Possession Jutsu. The Kyuubi heard, next thing he was trapped by a shadow, he couldn't move at all. Kyuubi Naruto turned his head to see that Shikamaru, along with Choji and Ino were there. Choji walked up and clapped his hands together, rubbing them really hard. Getting ready to face Kyuubi Naruto. Expansion Jutsu. Choji shouted. Two of his hands began growing large enough to grab Kyuubi Naruto in a tight position to make sure that he wouldn't escape. Release me, you swine. Kyuubi Naruto demanded. Choji ignored the hurtful comment, then focused on the mission. Chonji. I'm sorry. Naruto apologized, regaining control over the Kyuubi, then lost it. Ino now, shouted Shikamaru. Right. Ino nodded, focusing her hands to make a triangle shape pointing directly towards Naruto. Mind Transfer Jutsu. Ino shouted, closing her eyes. Kyuubi Naruto's struggle was stopped as his eyes widened and looked into nothing, feeling Ino's presence in his mind. Naruto's mind. Ino was inside Naruto's mind. She wasn't necessarily surprised to see nothing there. She was confused though. She was seeing a large golden gate in front of her, slightly opened, with seals on the gate. She felt that her feet were wet. She looked down to see that she was standing in a very, very thin puddle. The ground was yellow-brown. It was very dark there as well. Ino. Ino turned to see Naruto right behind her. Naruto. Ino shouted, relief in her voice that Naruto's safe. What are you doing here? You have to get out now or he'll find you. Naruto warned, worry in his voice. Who'll find me? Ino asked. Soon, Ino felt a presence, a very dark presence. She turned around to the gate to see Kyuubi himself. She was surprised that he was big. Of course she had heard from the history books and her parents that the Kyuubi was a very large demon, but she would have never figured that he'd be this big in her life. Hello, little girl. Kyuubi smirked. What the hell? Ino replied, shocked that the demon himself is right in front of her face. Ino, you have to get out of here now. Naruto shouted. No, I will help Naruto. Ino replied. Ino soon was grabbed by the Kyuubi with his right hand. He picked Ino up, holding her tight to make sure she wouldn't escape. Ino struggled hard, trying to escape the Nine Tails grip. It was useless, she wasn't strong enough. Naruto ran to Ino. He tried to save her, only to be cut off by the gate. Ino was through the gate and she was scared, terrified of what the fox might do to her. Ino. Naruto yelled. Naruto. Ino yelled. I'll give you a terrifying experience. Which will regret that you were born. Kyuubi chuckled, then shoved Ino into his mouth. Before Ino entered his mouth, she quickly took jutsu down and she was released from Naruto's mind. Back with the others. Ah! Ino screamed, then collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Ino. Shikamaru and Choji shouted in worry. Kyuubi Naruto woke up from the jutsu, then started to regain consciousness, only to break himself free from Choji's arms. The shadow of Kyuubi Naruto grew bigger and bigger, until the point where Shikamaru can't take over Naruto's shadow anymore. What the? Was all Shikamaru could thought of. The Kyuubi Naruto growled at Shikamaru, Choji and Ino. Kyuubi Naruto charged with the intention to kill and shred the Genins and Chunin, until he was tackled by a green flash into one of the trees. Crash! Dust covered the tree, with Kyuubi Naruto and a familiar groan coming from the dust. Ino woke up, looking at her friends who had worried faces for her. She slowly stood up, and gained consciousness from being in Naruto's mind. Ino, are you okay? Choji asked, worry in his voice for Ino. Yeah, I'm okay. Ino replied, rubbing her head. What happened? Shikamaru asked. Kyuubi was in Naruto's mind. He attacked me and tried to kill me. Naruto warned me and I managed to escape from him. Ino replied, still rubbing her head. Back with Kyuubi Naruto and the figure that had knocked him over. The dust had finally cleared, revealing that the figure was Lee who knocked him over. Kyuubi Naruto got up and tried to swipe Lee with his right hand, only to be dodged by Lee. Lee landed a few meters away from Kyuubi Naruto, where soon Neji and Tenten came along on Lee's side to support him. The three took a quick fighting stance, looking Kyuubi Naruto directly in the eyes. You fools think you can beat me? Kyuubi Naruto chuckled. Kyuubi Naruto then brought up other tails from behind. He brought up 8 more tails to complete the process. Now Kyuubi Naruto had 9 tails, representing the 9-tailed fox himself. The 3 genins swallowed, then became serious. One thing for sure, this was not going to be an easy battle for them. This is not good, Neji thought. The 3 genins charged towards Kyuubi Naruto then started fighting each other. Tenten got out one of her scrolls, then sent a storm of kunais, swords and other sharp weaponry towards Kyuubi Naruto. Only to be blocked by the 9 tails Kyuubi Naruto had summoned. This was part of their strategy plan. Neji and Lee were the ones to attack Kyuubi Naruto while Tenten provides the distraction to help them to get to Kyuubi Naruto. The two sneaked behind and used their special attacks to fight Kyuubi Naruto. 8 trigrams and 64 palms. Neji shouted, before being surrounded by a large sphere of chakra, sending multiple palm attacks towards Kyuubi Naruto's back. Kyuubi Naruto groaned in pain, before being wrapped in bandages by Lee. Lee jumped high in the air, then started to come down spinning while holding Kyuubi Naruto close to him. Leaf whirlwind, Lee shouted, before crashing towards the ground. Crash. Dust consumed the two, leaving Tenten and Neji wondering what had happened to Lee and Kyuubi Naruto. The dust cleared soon, revealing that Kyuubi Naruto was unharmed by the attack, but Lee was. The tails were supporting Kyuubi Naruto in the air, meters away from the ground, with Lee under one of them, looking seriously injured. Lee, I'm sorry. Naruto apologized, but lost control when the Kyuubi regained it. Kyuubi Naruto slowly got down to his feet, before throwing Lee away towards one of the trees. Tenten and Neji rushed to Lee and both caught him, softening his crash. Crash. Kyuubi Naruto was about to move ahead before finishing them, but was stopped when a Junin flash came by and caught him before flashing away. Kyuubi Naruto soon found himself some hundreds meters away from Team Guy, before breaking free of the Junin's grasp. He found himself surrounded by 3 other Junins, who he soon realized were Guy, Kurenai and Asuma. This is bad. Kyuubi's chakra is getting very strong and powerful by the minute. I can feel the dark presence already. Kurenai thought. I remember you younglings. I remember the horror on your faces. Seeing all those pathetic humans die. The deaths, the tragedy, remember how scared you were when you first saw me. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled. It's Kyuubi. He's taking over Naruto's body. Guy exclaimed in his thoughts. I'm guessing that you're not going to release Naruto's body, even if we asked. Asuma guessed. If I could escape this pitiful body, I would be free by now. I'll have to make do with what I got at the moment. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled. Release his flames of youth now. Guy shouted in rage, charging at Kyuubi Naruto along with Asuma and Kurenai. Guy attempted to knock Kyuubi Naruto out, trying to avoid hurting the poor boy, but one of his tails swung and stopped him, sending him flying meters away from him. Asuma wasn't gonna go easy. Even if he was Kakashi's student, he would have to fight hard against Kyuubi Naruto. Asuma sent a series of kicks and punches towards Kyuubi Naruto which were blocked easily by Kyuubi Naruto. Kyuubi Naruto then started to send them back to Asuma. The speed overwhelmed him, getting a few kicks and punches to the face and stomach, sending Asuma to the ground. Kyuubi Naruto was about to finish Asuma off, until Kurenai came in ready to punch him. Kyuubi Naruto managed to dodge and swipe one of his tails at Kurenai, only to find that she had disappeared in a poof of smoke. Poof. Kyuubi Naruto looked back at Asuma, only to find that he was gone from his spot. He felt movement behind him and turned around to see Kurenai charging towards him again. He swiped his tail at her only for her to disappear again. Poof. Just die already, pest. Kyuubi Naruto shouted in rage. But Kyuubi Naruto didn't know that he was actually in a genjutsu by Kurenai. Kurenai managed to drag Asuma away from Kyuubi Naruto to a safe distance. There Asuma was smoking a cigarette to calm himself down. I guess I owe you one, Kurenai. Asuma guessed, while blowing out the smoke from his cigarette. Just leave it to me to always get you out of trouble, Asuma. Kurenai commented. The two watched as Kyuubi Naruto just kept smashing the ground and swiping his tails everywhere, thinking that he's trying to kill Kurenai. Asuma, you know how to disperse genjutsu? Kurenai asked. Of course, Kurenai, you have to block your chakra and disperse it in order to disperse the genjutsu. Asuma explained, smiling at where this is going. Well, if the Kyuubi disperse his chakra, Naruto will regain control over his body while Jiraiya puts a stronger seal on him. Kurenai finished, smiling back at Asuma. Good plan. Asuma commented. Kyuubi Naruto was still trying to kill Kurenai, but she just kept on disappearing. Where are you? Kyuubi Naruto demanded. Kyuubi Naruto's hearing caught the small conversation of Kurenai's plan. He sniffed a bit to find her in Asuma's scent. Sniff sniff. Kyuubi Naruto sniffed, until he had finally found the two Junins. I found you. Kyuubi Naruto shouted in rage. With that said, Kyuubi Naruto charged towards the scent where Asuma and Kurenai were. The two Junins stood still to make sure that he didn't see them. Unfortunately, the plan didn't go so well, as Kyuubi Naruto grabbed Asuma by the neck and wrapped one of his tails around Kurenai, squeezing the oxygen out of her while Kyuubi Naruto was choking Asuma to death. Kyuubi Naruto was slowed down by Naruto inside him, releasing a bit of his grip on Asuma. Kurenai wasn't so lucky, as the more she struggled, the more oxygen she used, until she had lost consciousness and was prepared to die. Kyuubi Naruto almost completed the process of their deaths until he was tackled by a spiky-haired Junin moving in a flash, making Kyuubi Naruto let go of Kurenai and Asuma, traveling a few meters away from the two. Kurenai fell to the ground. Asuma rushed towards her before she landed, catching her bridal style. Kurenai, are you okay? Asuma asked, worry in his voice. Yes, I'm okay, Asuma, Kurenai replied, trying to regain her oxygen. Crash. The Junin and Kyuubi Naruto crashed into a tree. Covered by dust, the Junin jumped a few meters away from Kyuubi Naruto, revealing that this Junin was Kakashi. Next to Kakashi, a figure landed on his feet next to him, revealing that the figure was Sasuke. Sasuke, be ready, Kakashi informed, pulling his headband up, activating his Sharingan. Okay, Sasuke replied, activating his Sharingan. The dust cleared and Kyuubi Naruto walked a few steps towards the two, still he was meters away from them. He first growled then started to chuckle, remembering who Kakashi was and who the young kid next to him was. Sasuke was confused why Kyuubi Naruto was chuckling about. Kakashi didn't care, he ignored it and took a quick fighting stance and studied Kyuubi Naruto's every move. It's good to see you again, Hitaki. I remember when I first saw that face of yours, you were terrified when I was about to kill you. If only the fourth Hokage didn't stop me, you would no longer be even standing here as we speak. Kyuubi Naruto saw Kakashi's eyes narrowed at him. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled then turned his view towards Sasuke, and you Uchiha. I haven't dealt with the likes of you in a long time. I remember when I faced your brother, the killer of the great Uchiha clan. It must be sad to be all alone, with none of your clan members to help you in any way whatsoever. I almost feel sorry for you. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled. Release Naruto's body now, Sasuke demanded, ignoring the mock from Kyuubi Naruto. Die. Kyuubi Naruto shouted, Demon's Claw. Kyuubi Naruto shouted again, holding his left arm up to his chest. Kyuubi Naruto's arm was forming a chakra claw, a large fox claw, almost as big as his chest. Sasuke and Kakashi were surprised to see the claw. They didn't suspect that Kyuubi Naruto could do that. As the large claw formed, the Kyuubi Naruto charged towards Sasuke and Kakashi. Sasuke and Kakashi both quickly dodged Kyuubi Naruto's claw strike, separated from each other. Kakashi then charged towards Kyuubi Naruto, sending him a series of kicks and punches to knock Kyuubi Naruto out. Kyuubi Naruto dodged all of the kicks and punches and attempted to strike Kakashi with his claw again. Kakashi dodged the claw, jumping back meters away from him. Kakashi didn't want to do it, but he had no choice. He took out his right hand, holding his wrist, forming the Chidori, but not a very powerful one, only to knock Kyuubi Naruto out. Chidori! Kakashi shouted, charging towards Kyuubi Naruto. One of Kyuubi Naruto's tails blocked the Chidori, grabbing Kakashi by the hand with another tail, swinging him to a tree. Boom! Kakashi traveled towards a tree and crashed right into it. Crash! Dust covered Kakashi. He got up, the dust cleared. Kakashi took his fighting stance again, prepared whatever Kyuubi Naruto threw at him. Behind Kyuubi Naruto, Sasuke sneaked up. He was holding his left hand out, pressing his wrist, doing the same as Kakashi did, forming not a very powerful Chidori, only one to knock Kyuubi Naruto out. He carefully sneaked behind him before charging straight towards Kyuubi Naruto. Chidori! Sasuke shouted, charging towards Kyuubi Naruto. Sasuke was about to hit Kyuubi Naruto, until one of the tails grabbed him by the waist, making him disperse the Chidori. The tail was squeezing Sasuke hard at the lungs, taking all of his oxygen away from him. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled at Sasuke's struggle, while Naruto inside tried to restrain himself from killing his adoptive brother. Kakashi took out a paper bomb on kunai. He threw it at the tail that held Sasuke, blowing the tail off and grabbing Sasuke. Boom! Sasuke tried to regain his oxygen. Soon he regained it in consciousness. He looked at Kakashi. Sasuke, are you okay? Kakashi asked, in his calm voice. I'm all right, Sasuke replied, getting up, rubbing the back of his head. Sasuke, remember what we trained for? Kakashi reminded, taking a quick fighting stance. Right, Sasuke replied, taking a quick fighting stance as well. The two charged towards Kyuubi Naruto. They took their hands out ready to perform another Chidori. Chidori! The two shouted. Their hands started to sparkle lighting. The two then flashed out, disappearing before Kyuubi Naruto's eyes. Kyuubi Naruto looked around for them. They were fast. He admitted that, even his hearing can't specifically identify their location, nor his nose. He kept looking around, till he noticed that the wind started to blow more violently around him like a tornado. He started to see colors around him of dark green, black, white and dark blue starting to from around him, seeing electricity forming in the mini tornado. The mini tornado was starting to close in on him. He tried to use his claw to swipe it but kept getting electrocuted by the mini tornado. Before the mini tornado closed in on him, there was a shout from the colors, who were identified as Sasuke and Kakashi. Tornado lightning strike was all Kyuubi Naruto heard before being blasted by the mini tornado. Boom! Kyuubi Naruto was blasted away, meters and meters from Kakashi and Sasuke. Kakashi and Sasuke started to slow down and disperse the tornado. They saw Kyuubi Naruto blasted meters and meters away. Don't you think we overdid it a bit? Sasuke asked. Probably. Kakashi replied. Crash. Kyuubi Naruto landed meters and meters away from Kakashi and Sasuke till he could no longer see the two anymore. He stood up, starting to climb up the crater he created. He was about to charge towards Kakashi's and Sasuke's direction till he heard a voice calling him. Naruto-kun. Kyuubi Naruto turned around to see Sakura, standing straight, holding her right hand up to her chest, clenching it in sadness. Her eyes had worry and deep concern for Kyuubi Naruto. Sakura walked towards Kyuubi Naruto slowly, but not too slowly, she was getting closer and closer. Naruto-kun, if you're still in there, please, come back to Konoha, we'll help you. Sakura said softly, giving a small soft smile. Damn girl, are you asking for a death wish? Kyuubi asked in rage. He was mad at Sakura, because of all the times he had to spend with Naruto, sad about him being rejected by her. I'm not asking you. I'm asking Naruto-kun, Sakura replied, narrowing her eyes at Kyuubi Naruto. Naruto-kun, I know you very well, you can't just let this thing control you. The Naruto-kun I know never gives up on anything or anyone. Please, I know you can beat it. Kyuubi is just some fox that thinks he can control you. You won't let that happen. I know you can beat it. I believe in you, Naruto-kun. Sakura said. Face to face with Kyuubi Naruto, she placed her right hand on his chest slowly, feeling the warmth of his chest. Please, I'm sorry. I know that I haven't been nice to you for years, Naruto-kun, but I want to make it up to you. Please, end this now, so we can go home and have a date together. Sakura said quietly, but loud enough for Kyuubi Naruto to hear. Sakura-chan, Naruto said, shocked and happy to hear that from Sakura, but deeply concerned for her as he didn't have control of his body anymore. This shall be interesting for me. I like to see how you would act like if I kill this wreck. Kyuubi Naruto grabbed Sakura by the neck, choking her. Stop. No, please. I'll do anything you want. Just let her go. Naruto begged. Kyuubi Naruto just chuckled. Let's repay the years she's done to us. By claiming her head. Kyuubi Naruto smiled evilly, pulling his claw back, preparing it to swipe Sakura across the face. No. Naruto shouted, tears forming in his eyes. Naruto-kun, before I die. Sakura shouted, making Naruto's eyes widen. I just want to say that, I'm sorry and, I love you, Naruto-kun. Sakura said quietly, before closing her eyes, preparing to die, tears leaking from her eyes. Now die. Kyuubi Naruto shouted, before swiping his claw. His claw was only centimeters away from contact with Sakura's face, before she disappeared in a flash, making Kyuubi Naruto swipe the air instead. What? Shouted Kyuubi Naruto in shock. Kyuubi Naruto turned his head, looking in all directions till he found the person that saved Sakura's life was Hinata, with Shino standing next to them. Sakura opened her eyes only to find she was on the ground with Hinata next to her. Hinata. Sakura shouted in shock. Sakura-chan, are you okay? Hinata asked, concern in her voice. Yes, Hinata, I'm okay. Sakura replied, looking at Kyuubi Naruto. It was foolish to talk to Naruto while in this state he's in. I suggest we take him down before he causes further destruction. Shino said in his calm voice, adjusting his glasses while Sakura and Hinata got up. How do we take Naruto-kun down? I don't think the other had much luck. Sakura asked, taking a quick fighting stance, the same with Hinata. My parasitic insects will drain Naruto's chakra level to the point he's unconscious, that will give us a few days before he regains his chakra, meanwhile we'll fix Naruto's situation. Shino explained. So we have to distract him until your bugs do your job? Sakura asked. In a way, yes, that's correct. Shino replied. Shino's bugs started to come out of his jacket, all swarming to Kyuubi Naruto. Kyuubi Naruto didn't notice as he was mostly concentrating on Sakura and Hinata, who started to charge towards him. Hinata activated her Byakugan while Sakura got her fists ready. Sakura tried to punch Kyuubi Naruto in the face, but missed when Kyuubi Naruto dodged the punch. He then swiped Sakura with his claw, only to find she had turned into a log which he swiped instead. Poof! What? Kyuubi Naruto shouted in shock. Sakura ran from behind him, then punched Kyuubi Naruto from behind, making him collapse to the ground. It wasn't long before Kyuubi Naruto got up quickly, then looked around to find Sakura, only to meet with Hinata, as she charged towards Naruto, preparing her secret technique. 8 trigrams and 64 palms. Hinata shouted, covered in a sphere of chakra, hitting Kyuubi Naruto with multiple palm hits. Kyuubi Naruto collapsed to the ground, spitting out a bit of blood. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hinata repeatedly apologized. While Kyuubi Naruto was down on the ground, Shino's bugs fell off of Kyuubi Naruto, looking weak and faint. Sakura and Hinata looked back at Shino, with confused looks on their faces. Shino, what happened? Sakura shouted, her eyes widened, the same with Hinata. It appears that my bugs may have been crushed by either you or Hinata by accident. Without my bugs, it seems like we lost the battle. This has resulted in our loss. Shino explained calmly. You're giving up that easily. Sakura shouted in rage, while Hinata was bowing her head multiple times to Shino, apologizing about his bugs. Suddenly a kunai landed between Kyuubi Naruto and the others. Hinata and Sakura were confused where it came from. They looked closer to see that the kunai had an explosive tag on. Boom! The kunai blew up in front of Kyuubi Naruto, sending him towards a tree. Crash! Dust was cleared. Kyuubi Naruto got up to see that he was surrounded by Junin and Anbu. Sakura and Hinata were happy that they finally got help from the other rescue teams. Shino wasn't as happy as they were. If they were to rescue Naruto from Kyuubi Naruto, why would they throw an explosive kunai at him? What do you want? Kyuubi Naruto asked. Your head. One of the Junin screamed, before throwing another explosive kunai at Kyuubi Naruto. Boom! Kyuubi Naruto managed to jump back in time, but the explosion sent him flying through the tree, making Hinata and Sakura mouth drop at what had just happened. Weren't they supposed to bring Naruto back? Why did they have the intent to kill? Crash! Kyuubi Naruto landed on his feet. After the dust had cleared, he was in a small crater, which soon was devoured along with Naruto by some fireball that someone spat at him. Boom! Kyuubi Naruto's tails covered him, helping him to survive the attack from the Junin that had tried to kill him. You will die soon, demon. One Junin shouted, charging towards Kyuubi Naruto, doing multiple hand seals, water style, water bullet. The Junin shouted, spitting multiple water bullets towards Kyuubi Naruto. Kyuubi Naruto's tails once again saved him by covering him from the water bullets. The Junin in blind rage tried to punch Kyuubi Naruto, only to find himself tackled by Kyuubi Naruto to the ground, with one of his tail's tips pointing towards his head. Fool! Now you die! Kyuubi Naruto shouted, before his tail charged towards the back of his head. It was over for the Junin. He could already see his life flash before his eyes before the tail would make contact with him. His only regret was that he never got revenge for his family against the demon brat. As he was prepared to die, he could not feel any pain or anything. In fact, he felt nothing. He looked at the tail's tip, which was only inches from his eye. Why did the brat stop? Why didn't he kill him? Was his question. He turned his head towards Kyuubi Naruto, who was growling to himself and muttering about something. Why did you stop it, you fool? Kyuubi Naruto demanded. Because I don't want to kill anyone, I want to save them. I only left to make sure they're safe. I won't let you kill them. Naruto explained, with a serious look on his face. Kyuubi Naruto turned his view to the Junin, who had already escaped his tail. He looked behind him to see if he was there, only to meet with lots of different combined attacks heading towards him. The attacks consisted of fire, wind and water. By the looks of fireball combined with water bullet as well with wind slice, he immediately jumped high in the air to avoid all those attacks. Boom! Kyuubi Naruto then swooped down towards the Junins and Anbu that just came out looking for his corpse. They looked up to see that Kyuubi Naruto had drew his claw back, ready to strike them. It was too late to move as he was only meters away from them, until whoosh! A gust of wind blew hard at Kyuubi Naruto, sending him flying like a kite away from the Anbu and Junin. While Kyuubi Naruto was flying away, a weird creepy figure which seemed like a puppet showed up behind him. He turned, but it was too late. He was grabbed by the weird creepy puppet like a snake trapping its prey. While the puppet had a hold of him, suddenly it went straight down towards the ground like a bullet. Crash. Kyuubi Naruto crashed. A crater was formed. The puppet left. Kyuubi Naruto got up. He looked around the crater to see that there was lots of sand around him. Before he could do anything, he heard someone shout, someone with a familiar voice. Sand Dome. He looked at the person who shouted it with two other beside him. The person next to him on his left was a girl, a kunyuchi, wearing a long purple shirt, holding a large Japanese-style black fan next to her. She had fair skin, dark green eyes, brown blonde hair with 4 knots holding at the back of her hair, making the ends spiky, wearing a Suna headband around her neck. The other person next to his right had purple war paint makeup on, wearing a black long suit with a circle which had half yellow color on the left and half red color on the right, with a hood on his head, could hardly see the brown hair he had. He next to him was the puppet that was attached to Kyuubi Naruto wrapped in bandages on his back. Attached to the hood was a Suna leaf symbol. He had fair skin and black eyes. The man in the middle had a long red shirt, with a high collar, wearing a giant pale jug on his back like a backpack. He had dark patches on his eye, spiky red hair and a red Japanese word on the top left of his forehead. Note: sorry, I don't know what it says, please help. His eyes were perfect circle light ocean jade blue. His skin was fair as well. Kyuubi Naruto identified the girl as Tamari, the man in the black robe as Kankuro, and the man in front of the two as Gaara, Suna's sand siblings, all nearly his age. Soon, he was covered in a large sand dome, blocking oxygen, making it hard for him to breathe. Soon, everyone except the Junins and Anbu that tried to kill Kyuubi Naruto arrived. Jiraiya looked like he was slapped hard on the face by some strong person, who was Tsunade, who called him a pervert after knowing that he was knocked out by Naruto's sexy jutsu. Gaara, what are you doing here? Tsunade asked, surprised of Gaara's appearance. I'm here because my brother was falling to the side of the Kyuubi. I felt his presence. We Jinchuriki can feel one another. Also, I heard a few of your merchants shouting, the demon's finally gone, back at Suna. Gaara replied, emotionally. How long will Naruto be in there? Shikamaru asked. Only until he loses enough oxygen to knock him out. I have a tight hold of him and he'll be there for a few minutes only. Gaara explained. Let me out. Kyuubi Naruto shouted. This time it made everyone surprised the volume he used. It sounded like he was angry. Even Gaara was a bit scared. Boom. The sand dome broke, breaking into giant pieces of dried up sand. The group saw that Kyuubi Naruto had grown another claw on his other arm. He was more powerful than ever. They couldn't believe the sight they were seeing, and this is on their friend Naruto. Now you die. Kyuubi Naruto shouted, charging towards everyone. Everyone did the exact same, charging towards Kyuubi Naruto. Tsunade and Jiraiya went first, drew both of their fists back ready to punch Kyuubi Naruto, only to miss him as he kicked them away. Enko and Iruka quickly tried to trap him by using their jutsu again. However, they were low on chakra due to them using a lot to get to Kyuubi Naruto, only to find themselves close contact with two of his claws. They managed to escape before they could touch them. All the rookies then came up, trying to land punches and kicks. All one by one were knocked out. The only 3 that remained were Sasuke, Hinata and Sakura. 8 trigrams and 64 palms. Hinata shouted, while charging towards Kyuubi Naruto. Kyuubi Naruto quickly stood back. Hinata missed her target. Once she was released from the sphere of chakra, Kyuubi Naruto charged towards her, ready to stab her heart. Hinata's eyes were filled with fear as she saw Kyuubi Naruto charged at her. That's when she felt someone grab her by the waist, felt soft strong hands grab her. She turned her head to see that someone was Sasuke, who had his Sharingan activated. He pulled Hinata away from Kyuubi's Naruto range, saving Hinata from his strike. Sasuke landed on his butt, with Hinata landing on him, her back of her head landing on his chest. Hinata quickly got up from Sasuke, blushing in embarrassment. She quickly brushed it off when Sasuke charged towards Kyuubi Naruto. sending him a series of kicks and punches only to be blocked by Kyuubi Naruto's tails. The tails soon launched Sasuke towards a tree, injuring Sasuke. Crash. Hinata ran towards Sasuke to help. Asuma, Guy, Kurenai and Kakashi all charged towards Kyuubi Naruto, trying to kick and punch. All attempts failed, as they were all easily defeated by being launched to all different directions. Kurenai and Asuma were knocked out while Guy was sent towards a tree, injuring him. Crash. Kakashi was the only one with the Sand siblings and Shizune. With his last effort, he used his Sharingan and his taijutsu techniques to knock Kyuubi Naruto out, only to be easily knocked down. Shizune came charging towards Kyuubi Naruto, but was caught off guard when he flashed away only to reappear right behind her, knocking her out. Kankuro and Temari quickly tried to fight him. Temari used her fan and swiped it, sending a huge wave of air towards Kyuubi Naruto, only to be deflected by his left claw like it was nothing. Kankuro used his puppet to grab Kyuubi Naruto, only to be clawed in pieces. Hey, that was mine! Kankuro shouted in rage. Kyuubi Naruto growled, making Kankuro scared. Never mind, I have more at home. Kankuro gave a fake smile, fear in his voice. Gaara quickly used his sand to create another sand dome around Kyuubi Naruto, only to be stopped by the strength of the Kyuubi's chakra. Gaara decided to use the sand to create a small dust storm. When it was over, besides Sasuke, Hinata and Sakura, he was surrounded by the rookies, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Iruka and Anko. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled, making everyone have confused faces. You all actually believe that you could defeat me. I'll show you. Kyuubi Naruto chuckled, raising his hand in the air forming a Rasengan, but a dark-colored one rather than a blue one. Now see what my powers can do. Kyuubi Naruto shouted, Dark Rasenagn. Kyuubi Naruto shouted, as he plunged the dark Rasengan to the ground, causing a very large massive explosion. Boom. Everyone was saved by Gaara's sand dome before the explosion happened. When Gaara dropped the dome, everyone's eyes widened. In chalk, the forest they were in was nothing more but a large crater which looked like it was caused by a meteor. Never before they felt such chakra wavelength nor strength nor devastation before until now. Sakura was far from the explosion. She went from the back to check it out only to find the large crater. Fear struck her. As she stood there for a few seconds, her eyes widened in fear. Dust was cleared. She saw Kyuubi Naruto standing, smirking in achievement. She could tell. Hearing his small chuckle, Kyuubi Naruto saw the rookies, Sand siblings, Iruka, Anko, Jiraiya and Tsunade standing there preparing to fight back. Kyuubi Naruto took a few steps towards them, smirking evilly. His eyes started to bleed uncontrollably. He didn't care. He kept his walk towards everyone. Sakura had enough. She started to tear up. She ran towards Kyuubi Naruto. No. Naruto she was running towards. She refused to realize that Kyuubi was controlling his body still. She knew Naruto would not let that demon control his body. She ran as fast as she could until she jumped on his back, giving him a hug. No. Sakura screamed. Please. Naruto-kun, I know you can fight, please. Sakura begged. Sakura stood quickly to Naruto's right side, pushed the back of his head towards her head, and put him into a lip lock. She was kissing Naruto. Naruto was shocked. Sakura, the girl of his dreams, was actually kissing him. Even the rookies were shocked as well as Iruka to see Sakura kissing Naruto. Never would they think of their lives when they would see Sakura kiss Naruto. Kyuubi Naruto's right arm was shaking. He was going to use his claw to kill Sakura, but something stopped him, something very strong. Naruto's mind. The Kyuubi was losing control over Naruto. He tried to regain his control but failed. He couldn't regain control. He looked at Naruto, who was pushing the loosened gates back into lock. Naruto was pushing the large heavy gates back. Kyuubi tried to push them open, but he was overwhelmed of the strength Naruto possessed. What are you doing, you fool? Kyuubi demanded. I'm trying to put you back in your place, you damn fox. Naruto replied quietly but loud enough for the Kyuubi to hear. With that said, the gates closed and giant chains grabbed the Kyuubi all over his body. Before being trapped once again, he let out a loud shout, "No!" Back with the others. Everyone could feel Naruto's chakra length reducing. They could see the tails on Naruto's butt retracting, his claws dispersing, his red eyes turning to his fox eyes back to those blue cerulean eyes. The chakra around him began retracting. Naruto was now back to normal, free from the Kyuubi's control. Sakura released her lips from Naruto's. The two stared at each other wide eyes. Naruto's eyes were telling that he was shocked by Sakura's act. Sakura's eye told that she had concern for him. After a few seconds of staring into each other's eyes, Naruto's eyes closed. He began falling on his back. Sakura quickly catched him, but the fall made he fall to her butt, laying down on the ground with Naruto laying on top of her, his head on top of her chest, making Sakura blush lightly before brushing it off. Suddenly, an Anbu flashed next to them, holding a kunai in a stabbing position, aiming for Naruto's heart. "Die, demon!" he shouted, before preparing to stab. Sakura quickly slid off of Naruto's body, then covered him with her own to stop the strike. Before the kunai was about to strike Naruto, the Anbu was punched in the face by a very angry Tsunade. Punch. Crash. The Anbu crashed into a couple of Junin who had just appeared in time to finish the job. "What the hell were you trying to do?" Tsunade demanded, anger in her tone. Jiraiya stood next to Tsunade, with a really pissed off look on his face. "Hokage-sama, we were just trying to kill the demon. He's a threat to the village." One of the Anbu replied, "He's a demon, he tried to kill you, he can't be allowed to return to the village." Another Anbu added. "Enough!" Tsunade shouted. By then Yugao came by with a couple of Anbu to the site. "Hokage-sama, what happened?" Yugao asked, worry in her voice. "Everything's alright, Yugao, the situation has been dealt with." Tsunade replied, "I want you to arrest these Junins and Anbu for trying to assassinate a leaf shinobi." Tsunade ordered, pointing towards the Anbu and Junin. "As you wish, Hokage-sama." Yugao bowed down, before ordering her Anbu to arrest them. "This will not go unpunished, Hokage-sama, the demon will get punished by the council." One of the Junin said, anger in their voice, before being taken back to Konoha. Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, Guy, Sasuke and Hinata came by seeing the unconscious Naruto. Hinata was helping Sasuke, his right arm wrapped around her neck, her left arm wrapped around his back while the other kept a hold of his left arm. Shizune helped Kakashi up a bit until they got to Naruto. Guy was being carried by Asuma and Kurenai, similar the way Sasuke was carried in. "Naruto-kun is okay, isn't he?" Hinata asked shyly. "Well, the dope's strong, I bet he's okay." Sasuke replied, smiling that his adoptive brother is knocked out. Naruto's flames of youth overcame the Kyuubi. Guy shot up, youthfully. Asuma and Kurenai looked at each other, then back at Guy. "Oh Guy, you're awake, good," Kurenai said, before she and Asuma dropped him to the ground, face planting the ground. "Sakura, let me carry Naruto," Kakashi said calmly, walking up to her and Naruto. "Sure, Kakashi-sensei." Sakura agreed, letting Kakashi carry Naruto. "He'll be okay, right?" Sakura asked, concern in her voice. Kakashi smiled at Sakura, before replying, "Sure, he'll be okay, don't worry." Sakura smiled softly back, her eyes filled with relief. "Although he's right, Tsunade-sama, too much has happened here, the council will be demanding answers, I don't think we can hide this," Kakashi said. Tsunade turned her view towards Kakashi, with a serious look on her face. "Leave those boneheads to me, Kakashi, I'll deal with them, don't worry," Tsunade informed. Time skip. One day later, location, Konoha Hospital. Yesterday was a tough day for everyone, tough as in, discovering a demon within their friend and fighting him to return to the leaf type of tough day. Naruto was in a hospital bed, he was in a coma, due to chakra exhaustion. He was in hospital robes, but clearly saw that he was covered in bandages all over his body, including his eyes. Jiraiya managed to put a stronger seal on Naruto, to prevent the Kyuubi taking over again. Next to him was Sakura, the girl of his dreams, sitting on a chair, next to his bed, smiling softly at him. Ever since he arrived at the hospital, Sakura never got out of his sight for the entire time. Gaara and his siblings asked a while ago why did he try to leave. Sakura answered, Gaara had about every right to crush Sakura, but he saw that she realized her mistake with Naruto and decided to forgive her, as well as Kankuro and Temari. P.S. Temari forced Kankuro to forgive Sakura or else she would reveal he had to take baths with her until he was 9 years old. Everyone else forgiven Sakura as well. Tsunade didn't punish Sakura. She knows that she had already learned her lesson for what she did to Naruto. She also sees herself in Sakura, remembering the mistakes she made. Only difference here, Sakura realized her mistakes sooner than Tsunade. Gaara and his siblings stayed in the leaf for a while to make sure Naruto was okay. They couldn't stay long since their village needed them as well, so they took off before looking after Naruto for a while. Outside of Naruto's room were 4 Anbu guarding the room. Sure, it was a bit over the top to send 4 Anbu guarding Naruto, if 50% of the hospital didn't try and assassinate Naruto. Sakura could remember when she asked the secretary about the location of Naruto's room. Flashback. Hours ago, Sakura was walking to the hospital, with good news that Naruto was going to be okay. She had a small smile to represent her happiness for the blonde. She was happy that he wasn't too hurt. She went into the hospital, to the counter and asked a secretary for Naruto's room. Excuse me, miss. Sakura called. A female secretary came by the counter, with a greeting smile on her face. Yes, how may I help you? The secretary asked politely. I'm looking for a room, a patient name, Naruto Uzumaki. Do you know which room he is in? Sakura asked politely. The secretary's expression changed from welcoming to disgust as soon as she heard of the demon's name. Him. He's in room 208. The demon doesn't deserve to be here. The secretary answered, turning away from Sakura, stern and anger in her voice. Sakura growled and glared angrily at the woman. She was mad at her for calling her Naruto-kun a demon. She wished she could shout at her, but this was a hospital, which meant she didn't want to disturb anyone. She brushed it off and decided to go to Naruto's room to check up on him. Flashback ends. After remembering all that, Sakura clutched Naruto's left hand hard, hoping that any minute now, he would wake up. Naruto-kun, if you can hear my thoughts, I'm sorry that I broke that promise with you when we first met, but this time, for a promise of a lifetime, I'll love and I'll never hurt as long as I live ever. Sakura thought, putting Naruto's hand on her forehead, with a soft smile on her face. Location: Team 7 Training Grounds. Sasuke was training. He was hitting one of the wooden posts using his taijutsu. He was focusing his chakra on speed now. He was kinda a bit upset that the dope beat him at the sparring match yesterday morning, but he quickly brushed it off. He decided to get stronger now so he could protect Naruto from the Kyuubi's possession. He hadn't noticed, but someone, or should I say some Hyuga, was behind him, hiding behind one of the trees, spying on him. Sasuke hasn't noticed in a while, but he was beginning to get suspicious about that. That Hyuga was Hinata. She had been spying on Sasuke for a while now. She didn't understand why she was doing it. All she could say was that she was feeling something deep down within her. She still hasn't gotten over that hug Sasuke gave her. Neither Sasuke did forget either. Sasuke couldn't understand why he did that to Hinata. He just felt like doing it. He just couldn't stand to see her cry like that, but that wasn't an excuse for him hugging her, or was it? The answer to that would have to wait, as Sasuke was mostly focusing on his training rather than a stupid thought that had been occurring to him ever since Hinata dropped him off at the hospital yesterday. No serious injuries had occurred to him, mostly a few bruises and wounds, nothing Tsunade couldn't heal. As Sasuke was training, he sensed some chakra coming from behind him. he turned only for Hinata to quickly turn away from him and hide behind the tree, blushing lightly and hoping he didn't see her. Did he see me? Hinata asked herself. She turned back to look at Sasuke, only to find nothing but the post. He was gone. Where did he go? Hinata asked herself, nervously. Where did you go? Hinata turned to meet face to face with Sasuke. EPP. Hinata jumped back, blushing even more than before. Sasuke was right there in front of her. She remembered she was centimeters away from his face to hers. Sasuke-kun. Hinata exclaimed, falling over to her butt. Sasuke-kun, I'm sorry, very sorry. Hinata apologized, embarrassment in her voice. May I ask, why are you here? This is a training ground for Team 7 members, you know. Your team's training ground is only a few meters from ours. Sasuke asked, giving Hinata a hand, pulling her back to her feet. I know Sasuke-kun, I was just a bit, I don't know, but I felt a bit free. Hinata answered, giving Sasuke a fake smile while trying to lower her blush, although she was lying. Free? Sasuke asked, dumbfounded. What I meant to say was, well, I feel free today. My team has no missions, so I sort of have the day off. I was just seeing you, I just felt a bit lonely. Hinata explained, lying to Sasuke. You know, I can tell when someone tells the truth or not. Judging by your voice, I'd say you're lying. Care to explain to me what the real problem was? Sasuke asked, smirking at Hinata. Well, the truth is, I was confused because Hinata was cut off by Sasuke. Let me guess about that hug and talk we had yesterday. Sasuke asked. Hinata nodded. Sasuke sighed. Well, I was going to discuss that with you today once my training was done. I guess it's as good a time as any. Sasuke said, before changing his expression back to his emo expression. Hinata, I'm sorry for what I did yesterday. Sasuke apologized. It's okay, I should be the one apologizing. I know it isn't good to do that because of our clan backgrounds. Hinata explained, with a small smile on her face. It's disgraceful to me for doing it. Remember, I hugged you first, not the other way around. Therefore I should be the one apologizing, not you. Sasuke explained, disappointment in his voice towards himself. Still, that doesn't mean that it helped me though. Hinata informed Sasuke with wide eyes. In fact, I also want to thank you for hugging me. It helped my depression a lot. I haven't felt this warm before, since my mother. Hinata said quietly, sadness in her voice. Your mother? Sasuke was confused, and also never heard anything about Hinata's mom before. How is your mother exactly? Sasuke asked, concern in his voice. He wasn't sure why he was concerned, but he was. She's dead. She died when I was 5. A Cloud Nin came to the Hyugan mansion and tried to kidnap me as I was told while I was asleep. My mom came to save me, only to meet an unexpected death. She was stabbed in the heart. She died. The Cloud Nin was executed by his village for treason. My father told me she was stabbed because I was in the way. I was gonna die, but she sacrificed her life for me. Hinata explained, tears forming in her eyes. Oh, I'm sorry I asked. Sasuke apologized, feeling sorry for the young blue-headed Kunyuchi. That's okay. You didn't know, Hinata said, rubbing the tears off of her eyes. So I guess that's why you train hard. That's why you want to be strong. I know because I saw a security camera footage of how you and Neji fought. The third Hokage showed me in case I missed anything. Sasuke explained. Partly. My father finds me weak and pathetic. He intends to neglect me for my younger sister, who is starting to get the same treatment as I have. My father is always tough on her and me. He says we would never make clan heads ever. Hinata explained. What about the elders in your clan? They must do something about it. Sasuke asked. Well, the elders respect my father and his actions. They say that he's a great example of a clan head. They see me the same way as my father does. Hinata explained, sadness in her voice. What about the other members of your clan? Sasuke asked. The members in the main household attends to neglect me as well. Because of my pity for the branch members, the branch are ordered by my father that any contact with me shall be an immediate execution. The only ones who respect me and talk to me are Hanbai Ni-san and now Neji-kun. Hinata explained, smiling at the end when she talked about Hanbai and Neji. There's also you, Naruto-kun, Choji-kun, Shikamaru-kun, Kiba-kun with his dog Akamaru-kun, Shino-kun, Lee-kun, Sakura-chan, Ino-chan and Tenten-chan, along with Kurenai-sensei as well, with Tsunade-sama and Shizune-san. Hinata smiled. In a way I'm guessing we are considered more of a family to you than your clan, am I right? Sasuke asked, smirking at Hinata, happy that she's happy. I guess so. Hinata replied. But still, it doesn't mean that I'm not harmed. Lately my father has been harsher to me more than before. Hinata informed, having a sad frown on. Why? Sasuke asked, his eyes wide, concerned for the poor girl. Because he says that I have been hanging around that demon. Hinata replied, tears started to form again in her eyes. You mean the dope? Sasuke asked. Yes, he says Naruto-kun is and always will be a demon. I never knew why he called him that, until I learned the truth that is. Ever since I was motivated by him, my father was more strict to me than before. He wanted me to forget about Naruto-kun. I refused, and then, that's all you need to know. Hinata replied. Sasuke was concerned and walked towards her, making her blush lightly. You can tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone no matter what. Sasuke comforted, rubbing her right side of her cheek. You promise? Hinata asked, blushing lightly. I promise. Sasuke smiled. Hinata didn't want to tell Sasuke, she really didn't want him to know. But this secret she carries just kept bothering her. She needed to tell someone sooner or later, plus deep down in her heart she trusts Sasuke. Okay. Hinata agreed. She turned back, unzipping her hoodie, then lifting up her black shirt. Sasuke blushed lightly seeing the back of her purple light bra, but then clutched his fists when he saw something he wished he would never see. On Hinata's back was fresh whip marks. Not only that, but as well as a few palm hits which looked to be performed by her clan's techniques and a small knife cut on her back. Sasuke was angry. Hinata was sad. She hated these marks, never wanting anyone to see them. What happened? Sasuke growled, angry at whoever did this. Hinata was silent for a while, before replying to him with a sad voice, looking down to the ground. My father told me to ignore Naruto-kun. I refused and he punished me. How long has he been doing this for? Sasuke asked, concern in his voice. Since the Chunin exams. Hinata then broke out in a small cry, leaving Sasuke feel really sorry for the young Hyuga girl. The Chunin exams was 5 months ago, and this is how she was punished for making contact with Naruto. Flashback. 5 months ago, a few days after Naruto and Jiraiya left to find Tsunade, location, Hyuga household. In the main house of the Hyugas, there was a small uproar with Hiashi Hyuga, arguing with his daughter Hinata. They are located in the Hyuga council room, where a meeting has just finished about their discussion for the leaf. Hinata overheard the meeting. Once it was over, Hisashi called her. Hinata, you're guessing why I called you here today? Hayashi asked, stern in his voice. No, father. I don't know why, Hinata replied, worry in her voice. I called you here because I noticed how you and the demon had been getting along. I realized that because of this, Neji also is getting along with the demon. He of course no longer believes in we can't change one's fate, but this may give demon influence over the Hyuga clan. So as of today, you are to stay away from that demon at all costs. Hayashi explained. Father, may I ask who's a demon? And what demon are you talking about? Hinata asked, confusion in her voice. As in the demon Hinata, I mean the Uzumaki boy. He's nothing more than a short-sighted monster, who should have died the day he was born, or never been born at all. The leaf surely would have been much better without him. By this stage, Hinata's eyes went wide. she was completely shocked and disgusted at how her father would say to one of her friends. But father, he is not a demon. He's Naruto-kun, and Hinata was cut off by her father. And a threat to this village. You remember the Chunin exams where he defeated Neji. Have you not seen the chakra he possesses? The ferocious energy he had. If you had any idea who he actually really was, you would see things from my perspective, Hinata. Now do as I say. Hiyashi raised his voice, warning his daughter. What if that is his bloodline, or his clan's secret technique? Doesn't anyone know of his clan? Hinata asked, objecting to Hiyashi's order. The point is that he's a demon. That's not his clan techniques or bloodline, that is something that I cannot tell you of, Hinata. Hiyashi replied, if only now we could tell the next generation, then we'll all be happy to see them torturing the demon instead of making friends with him. How pathetic. Hiyashi thought, anyway you are ordered to stay away from that demon. Do as you are told, Hinata, or... Hiyashi was cut off by a small whisper, loud enough for him to hear. No. Hinata whispered, looking down towards the ground. Excuse me, Hiyashi demanded, shocked that his daughter talked back at him. Hinata looked up at her father, having a serious look on her face. No father, you are wrong, Naruto-kun isn't a demon, he's Naruto Uzumaki, a great person, a great ninja, he is to be treated with respect. Hinata told Hiyashi. What are you talking about? Hiyashi demanded, anger in his voice. What I'm talking about is the fact that you are blind, like the villagers, all you see is a demon when me and my friends see a human boy. You are the wrong father, and I will not cooperate. Hinata stood up. Hinat, do as I say or there will be consequences. Hiyashi gave his final warning, his eyes threatening the poor girl. No father, I will not. Hinata shouted, but made a big mistake. That was the last straw. Her father immediately grabbed her by the back of her neck and pushed her down to the ground, off. Hinata whimpered, landing towards the ground. If you say so, Hinata, as of this moment, you will be getting punished for your crimes against the Hyuga household, you're just lucky this punishment will be easy on you this time. With that said, Hiyashi took his belt off, holding the end without a buckle, holding it like a whip. Take your jumper and shirt off now and face the consequences. Hiyashi demanded. Hinata let out a few tears. Before taking her hoodie and shirt off, she stayed at her position, which was mostly kneeling on the floor, holding her hands on her knees. She knew this sort of thing was going to happen, it's just that she had never expected her father to do it. She quickly closed her eyes and prepared for the worst. Whip, 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 whip. End flashback. She let out a few tears after remembering that moment. She had been witnessing her punishment for the past half an hour, leaving her with a very sore back. She could hardly sleep after that. The Hyuga household did get news of this. They could care less of Hinata getting this sort of punishment. They said she deserved it because she was weak. The branch clan also found out about this. They could only say how sorry they were for not helping her and for what her own father did to her. Neji wanted to speak against Hiyashi for doing this. Hinata convinced Neji not to. Even though he wanted to protect her, Neji agreed. Hanbai knew of what had happened. She felt very sorry for Hinata and apologized for what had happened. Hinata said it was never her fault. Ever since that day she had been getting this a lot from her father. She pulled her shirt back on, then zipped her hoodie on, leaving a very shocked Sasuke. Sasuke couldn't believe it. Of course the Uchihas have similar punishments to the Hyugas, but not ever they would punish a child like Hinata at such a young age with extreme measures for making contact with someone they deem as a demon. Even now Sasuke and Hinata know the truth about Naruto and what's inside of him. Sob sob, my father want me to. Sniff sniff. Stay away from him, I just refused. Hinata was crying. She was really sad that one father would do such a thing like that to her. She released all the sadness she kept deep inside her from him. It was good to finally release all that sadness. Sasuke had done the unthinkable. He started to walk towards Hinata, and the next thing he knew, he was hugging her again, to keep her comfort and stop crying. He never knew why he wanted her to stop crying, he just wanted to help her. He soon realized what he just did. For the second time in 1 week, he quickly released Hinata and stepped back, his face blushing furiously. "Hinata, I'm so sorry again," Sasuke exclaimed, fighting down the blush. Hinata didn't say a thing. She was so shocked that this had happened to her. She felt the same warm feeling again when Sasuke hugged her last time and collapsed to the ground. Sasuke quickly caught Hinata, only to see her whole face red. He sighed. This is what happens when an Uchiha hugs an Hyuga, they pass out. He gently laid Hinata on the tree. He decided to let her be there for a while, then he continued to train. He looked back and smiled at the sleeping Hyuga girl. He didn't understand why. Hinata is a Hyuga. She should consider Sasuke her rival or enemy perhaps, instead she treats him like a friend. There's something he doesn't understand either. He has feelings for her. Every time he hugs her they just keep getting this warm feeling. Time skip. 2 hours later. After training, Hinata suddenly started to wake up. She opened her eyes and saw that she was laying under a tree. She hadn't noticed until now that Sasuke was next to her, waiting for her to wake up. She turned her head towards him to see a small smirk on his face, happy that Hinata is finally awake. Hinata blushed lightly at being this close to Sasuke. "Sasuke-kun, what happened? Why was lying?" Hinata asked, nervously. "You fainted after I gave you a hug, sorry about that." Sasuke apologized. Hinata smiled slightly. It's alright, I'm sure you didn't mean to do it." Hinata responded. Sasuke smiled, then stood up, giving Hinata his right hand, helping her up to her feet. By the time she got up, both Hinata and Sasuke didn't expect to meet face to face, their faces centimeters from each other, making them quickly look away from each other. "I'm sorry again. Tell you what, how about I treat you as an apology?" Sasuke suggested, smirking at Hinata. Hinata blushed lightly, tapping her fingers together, thinking of an answer. "Well, probably I can go, sure," Hinata replied, giving Sasuke a small smile. Sasuke nodded, then left the training grounds with Hinata following him. Location: Ichiraku's Ramen. Sasuke and Hinata went to have lunch at Ichiraku's. Sasuke was paying, even though Hinata suggested that she should pay instead. They sat next to each other on stools, eating their meals. Sasuke smirked seeing how happy Hinata was. Sasuke had this strange feeling in him that he was enjoying every moment of this lunch. He never felt this way in a long time, not since his family was slaughtered by his older brother Itachi. Hinata finished her meal, then turned her head towards Sasuke. "Thanks, Sasuke-kun, but you really shouldn't have," Hinata said, embarrassed that Sasuke had to pay instead of her. "I told you before, Hinata, it was my treat, so you don't have to worry about paying." Sasuke calmed her down with a small smirk on his face. "Thanks, Sasuke-kun, I'm much better now after the second hug you gave me." Hinata responded. Sasuke just kept his smirk up. Sasuke was feeling something inside of him, something that made him ask Hinata to go out, similar to a date or something. "Say, Hinata, don't you wanna go anywhere else?" Sasuke asked. Hinata blushed lightly. "Well, there aren't really many places to go, but this is just a walk, not a date or something." Hinata asked. "Of course not, this is not a date, Hinata, just more of a friendly going, that's all." Sasuke replied. Hinata smiled lightly. There might be someplace I want to go to," Hinata suggested. "I had a mind on a certain place, it's the Hokage monument." Hinata replied, nervously. "Sure, we'll go there now. Why do you want to visit the monument?" Sasuke asked. "Because I like the view and it's kinda empty there. No one visits the monument often, so it's a quiet place for me," Hinata explained. Sasuke kept his smirk on still, making Hinata smile at Sasuke, feeling happy. Location: Hokage's monument. Both Hinata and Sasuke were on top of the heads of the Hokages. They liked the view and the silence of the monument. It's not noisy and it's definitely not crowded like the village. It takes their mind off their disturbance. In the village, everyone is always making some sort of noises in the village. Both Sasuke and Hinata liked the view. It may have taken their minds off of the hug they had, but it did not take away the weird feeling they had with each other. Sasuke pretended nothing was wrong, as the inside of him was saying something to him, a feeling or some sort. Hinata's expression was blush. She was mostly blushing when she was near Sasuke. She didn't know why, but she was getting to the answer sooner or later. While they were staring at the view, Sasuke decided to break their small silence. Great view, huh? Sasuke asked, a smirk on his face. Hinata broke out of her thoughts and blushed in embarrassment. Huh? Yeah, it's a good view. Hinata replied confusedly. You know you don't always have to be so nervous all the time. It's better if you calm down. Tell me, why are you nervous around others? Sasuke asked, smirking at Hinata. Hinata blushed and tried to answer. Well, you see, when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to play with other kids. My clan forbid me from playing with others. They said that I shouldn't play with the kids who had no noble clan. I only played with very few. Those were Kiba-kun, Shino-kun, Shikamaru-kun, Choji-kun, Ino-chan and Tenten-chan. Hinata answered, embarrassed that she was mostly alone because of that. Let me guess. Hyuga traditions. Sasuke guessed, feeling sorry for Hinata. Yeah, that's the reason why. Hinata answered, sadness in her voice. I'm sorry that you have to suffer like that, Hinata. Sasuke apologized. Hinata smiled back. That's okay, Sasuke-kun. There's no reason to apologize. Hinata said. I have a question about Hinata. Do you love Naruto? Sasuke asked, wondering if Hinata really did love Naruto. Hinata instantly blushed and tried to think of an answer to give to Sasuke. It was kinda obvious Hinata shared feelings for Naruto, but she was really nervous and quiet to make sure no one knew she had a crush on him. If this got to the Hyuga clan, Hinata would have been punished or beaten for loving that demon brat. Though she knew Sasuke wanted to know, and being the very kind little girl she is, she thought she had no choice but to answer. I may, love, Naruto-kun. Hinata answered, her face blushing hard until it turned red. She loves Naruto. And that Baka doesn't even realize that she loves him. Which gives me a chance with him. Wait. Why am I thinking about her? She's a Hyuga and I'm an Uchiha. We can't be together. Though she looks so beautiful. What am I thinking? Sasuke thought, turning his head away from Hinata, clutching his face in frustration. Hinata saw what Sasuke was doing, and was worried for him deeply. Deeply. She had never felt really worried for someone, even for Naruto, but for Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, what's wrong? Hinata asked, concern in her voice. Oh, nothing at all. Just a thought that came to mind. Sasuke lied. Hinata thought smiled softly at him. Sasuke then had a questioned look on his face and asked, if you love Naruto, why don't you tell him that? Obviously he'll like you if you tell Naruto that you love him. Hinata tried to think of an. This was just the beginning, the real secret will unfold in the next episode. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit the bell icon so you'll be the first to see what happens next. See you again in the next journey of Uzumaki Empire 2.0.